Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. On Sunday, August the 4th, 2024, live Avenue X. This is supposed to be July, live on my channel of 2024. I literally just forgot to do it in July. Sorry about that. So we're doing it on the weekend. And I'll wait for people to show up. Let's just hope it's working. If you could hear me clean and clear and okay, let me know. Hello. Oh, first person, Alexandra, Romania. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Good, good. Usually sound. If sound is good, then it's all good. Cool. So, morning, Sunday, August 4th, we are, well, live. Yeah, I know I don't do weekend live that often, but by the time I realized I'm late for July has almost passed. So I'm like, okay, probably should just do one. Oh yeah, I know Olympics is going on, so don't choose. Don't need to watch Olympics. You know, you can come back to this. It's not like I'm gonna say anything important. I know it's ongoing. Today we've just happened gymnastics, I think. I read on social media. One more gold for China, and then table tennis, ping pong. So it's kind of expected from China, and then other things ongoing. I mean, right now is like we are at 9, so that would be afternoon in Paris, which would just be everything is ongoing right now. Very exciting, a lot of things going on. So what are you watching, if anybody is watching any Olympics games? I know I usually do live during weekdays, but you know, like I said, July flew by and I was like, hold on. It's like end of July, I forgot to do July live. So it's kind of like awkward. Oh, somebody's from France. You're right there. Yes, 1 gold, 2 silver. Yeah, I think it's the males. What's the thing? Like a ring? Those look scary. And in terms of how they even manage to push themselves up, you know, on those things, unbelievable. I can't even do pull-ups, and I really try. Like, I'm trying this year, but so far I haven't succeeded. And I'm like, maybe I should just give up. Maybe it's asking too much. I just don't have that genetics for getting that much muscle. You kind of need to train yourself like for quite a while before you can pull yourself up. And talking about sports, there's one thing that Avenue X cannot do well. I totally skipped my mother's athletic genes. She is a really good athlete. She plays volleyball when she was young, and she's like really strong when she was young, like stronger than, I'd say, same height men often. But I totally didn't get her part of DNA at all. My father is really bad at sports, and I just got everything from my dad. So, unfortunately. Volume is a bit low, is it? Because on my end, I can make it higher, but often it peaks. And usually it gets louder if I keep going. I can keep going, but I'm just worried it's gonna peak very easily. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I can only push it this far, otherwise it's gonna peak. I think it's going into the zone, so. Don't watch sports. I mean, I'm not a huge sports fan either. Oh my god, what happened in Bangladesh? Oh my god, what happened? 1,000? Is that flood? Oh my god. The world is crazy. That's why, like, I think that's why I forgot live stream because so many things have happened in the world in July. The last thing you'd be thinking about is watching Chinese dramas, kind of, right? You've got political assassination, one failed, one succeeded, on different leaders and potentially changing human timeline because of these two events. And it's incredible that they happened so close, like within half a month you have one and another, and then you have like Olympic Games opening that just outraged all Christians in the world. You're just standing out there watching and say, this is really playing out. This is not a video game. This is not made up in a stupid movie. It's actually ongoing. Transgender Last Supper. I'm like, what the heck is going on in this world? So because of all this, right, it's like drama. Like I totally forgot about the importance of my channel. I mean, to myself, like I ignored it. It literally was like so put behind, right, priorities and your attention. So crazy. It's not like I say, I have a microphone up there, so I know, and I can adjust, but if I push it any further, I think I'm just gonna go into peaking, so. Yeah, the political thing, I know, Venezuela, I know it's a revolution, and who knows what else is gonna happen. So in comparison, right, dramaland is like, who cares what happens, really? It's just drama. And ever since beginning of Olympics, internet is like so noisy about all types of things that have happened because of this game, and it's so like there are crazy things ongoing all the time. So I mean, one good, like if you live in a place where you really don't get like directly affected. If you do, like you have to keep obviously updated with information, but if you don't, I'd say just shut it down for a while. Don't read news or like watch like social media. It's insane. Like the amount of news you hear and you're like, what the heck? Within one day is like 500 years ago, somebody's whole lifetime. Like they need to only process that much information throughout their entire lifetime, and we do it in one day. I mean, talk about human brain's adaptability. It's insane. Pan Zhanle, the swimmer, or I mean, Chinese people are like, we're so used to it. Although the younger people who are born say after 2000s, like the athlete, right, they really don't give a shit. Like they would just fight back. Older ones like me, people who are born sort of a decade or two before that, we are overall a lot more mild about these things, because it's like, I'd say people who were born in 80s and 90s in China, we grew up during the time where it is actually the norm, the society's norm to look up to the West. Particularly, let's say, spearheaded by America, everything regarding culture, everything, right? So you have that sort of upbringing, I guess, like you have that imprint where you tend to always think towards the more biased, positive way. Although these, like, I guess since COVID, things have changed, but at least we grew up during those sort of couple of very impressionable sort of childhood years where it's almost like Chinese people, the first thing when we get accused of anything is like we reflect on ourselves. So that did we really do something wrong, right? That whole sort of tendency of thinking about things. Now it kind of is where it's like wearing off for the later generation, particularly younger kids born after 2000s, because they grew up in a China that's quite different from 2 decades ago, and they have no concept of that whole weird era of looking up to the West. And they were like, we have everything better than you, so why? Like, they don't get it, right? Literally, it's because of they were born later. So that's why, like, I think the young guy is really funny. Is he just like he didn't think, like, there's no filter. He's like, yeah, they look down upon us, so I guess I just take them down. And they're like, you never hear that thing coming out of people who were born, like say 2 decades ago, even when they're thinking that, they would not be speaking it out like that. So it's a really interesting thing to observe. It's pretty fun to look at, and I'm like, oh, roast. Yeah, that's just one thing you can see from this type of international game. We definitely are going to talk about dramas. Let's first talk about dramas and talk about other things. How about that? Because this is still a drama channel. Although the world is like reality 3D, Earth Online 3D game right now is so much more funny, fun and crazier than eventful, let's say, than Dramaland could ever be. You need our Chinese dramas. You need actually crappy dramas at this time. Because if it's too good, it's too brain consuming. You want it to be actually completely silly and stupid. Right? In a way. So, we're gonna, let's say, talk about Chinese dramas in the first half, and then we can talk about other things. I'll try to make this live stream not too long, because I do have other things to do today. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so Chinese dramas. Right now, Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty just finished, second season. I definitely will talk about it. I may make actually multiple videos because there are things worth talking about in detail. I am watching As Husband as Wife. I clicked into Snowfall for a bit. I find it's like a bit weird looking. I'm not sure if I can get into this type of story, honestly speaking. It just... I think it needs to make me make believe it quite a lot to take it seriously. At least like just by clicking through a couple of episodes and get an impression. But I haven't had time to actually sit down and watch it minute by minute. Love's Rebellion. I've watched up to episode 8 or 10. Something like that. So it's like it's kind of up to date, but not to the latest episode. We have, I think, a couple more coming out. There's another one ongoing. But I think right now, because I finished watching Strange Tang and I'm editing videos on it. Like when I like a drama, I edit video, and it takes a lot of time to do it. So I don't have all the time to watch other new dramas. So the other two that I am watching right now is As Husband as Wife and 四海崇明. They're both iQIYI dramas, just happens to be that. And then when the Lonely Hero's Journey comes in, the espionage drama on 6, I probably will check that one out too. So that's what's ongoing right now at this moment. The Shadow is interesting. Going is such a fox. Okay, yeah, because I've heard a lot of people saying it's actually not bad. So I definitely want to spend a bit of time. I just like need to find the time right now. Because I have 2 Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty edits I want to do. And then I have 2 videos on it I want to do. So I'm like, I'm like so stretched. I only have 24 hours a day. It's a little bit like pushing it. But if it's good enough, I'll definitely get to it. I know they changed it a lot because I've seen the Snowfall original author came out and actually saying it's such a pity that a lot of things needs to be cut out, adapted, changed. Yeah, I mean for the nature of the story, I did see that. Very unfortunate, but I mean at least it came out. Unlike a lot of dramas who will never see daylight. Did Ouyang Nana act okay? I mean, because she is like, to me, she's not really an actress, per se. I haven't really seen her sort of like showing that she's able to act in any way properly. So I'm not sure, like, is she good in this? Or watchable, at least? Dashing Youth, I didn't continue. Like I said, it's really hard for me to get into that story. It doesn't work on me. It's very much like a lot of young pretty people playing cosplay. That's what. So they're dressed all pretty with very over the top design of costumes and a lot of slow motion and freeze frame and fighting with explosive CGI behind them. But acting, character, narrative pacing is like, it's not a story that I don't find anybody engaging or interesting. I don't want to know their story. Like what happens to them is like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't work on me at all. So I forgot its existence. Like, the dashing youth, yes, I made a first impression and immediately forgot about its existence. That's like how not leaving a trace on my mind that drama is. Love's Rebellion, like I said briefly in my weekly video, I appreciate they use actors' own voice. I don't appreciate it's really badly recorded and mixed. You don't even need a headphone. Like you can just have it like in your sort of like, don't plug in anything, just let it play. Open on your laptop or iPad. It's not like the volume, but it's like the original recording of a lot of the dialogue is already peaked. It's like, so even in post-production, you can't really change the distorted part. And it's extremely odd sounding in its quality. Either it's like the microphone has something wrong or they didn't adjust the volume like somehow. So it sounds, also these environmental sound. So when they're in the space and you can hear sort of the space echoing and the reverb quality, it all sounds extremely cheap. It's like the set is really bad, but basically. Like you can literally hear the poorly built fake set. Like it's like on a stage or on a really poorly built set. That's not really the real space that the visual gives you. So the visual gives you a type of space you think it should be, but the sound is giving you another. And it's like a school stage play sound that's like coming back. It sounds really, really bad. And I'm just like, how could this happen? It's not that complicated to get good recording these days. I mean, technology-wise, it's like no problem. Equipment-wise, YouTubers can do it. And I don't get it. It sounds really, 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 really bad for some reason. And at least like the first couple of like 6 episodes I watched, it's all like that. And I'm like, it makes it sound really unprofessional. But so that's one thing that I find it's really hard to keep watching, because when sound doesn't work out, it's actually more painful than visual. You can watch something in 720 relatively okay, even though it's not high definition, you can deal with it if the sound is really good. On the contrary, even if you have 4K, if the sound is shit, you can't watch it. It's like something like that. And in terms of the two's acting, the characters, like line delivery, it's okay. Zhang Linghe did improve, but he's still not yet, let's say, good enough, in my opinion. But he's better than himself, clearly so. At least you can tell that he's putting some effort into it. Let's hope he can keep doing that. People all look quite pretty, and it's not completely stupid in terms of being an idol fantasy drama. But then, is it like surprisingly engaging and well written and well performed and well paced? Not really. Like the first 4 or 5 episodes, if you watched it, they're just basically in the same set. The female leads her little hut, right? It's like 90% in her little hut. The guy is there, and they're just constantly playing this, I want to escape, I get you back, and then I get into trouble, you help me out, and repeat that plot, like just like repeat itself. It doesn't really go anywhere. It just keeps happily circling within that space and that type of story. And very soon I get tired and I lost track of how many rounds they've done. Like, I want to escape, and then you stop me from escape. I save you, and you save me. I save you, you save me. We come back to the hut. We go out of the hut. We come back to the hut. It's like 5 episodes, 6 episodes. I already lost track of how many like rounds of that it has happened. It's not engaging. It's like the story is not going anywhere. It just keeps going in circles, circles, circles. Pretty people in circles. I mean, so that's why I'm not eagerly trying to see the next episodes of that drama. If I have time, I'll check it for a bit, but I don't. There's nothing hooking me into it. It's like, I can't wait to see what happens next episode. Nothing happens like that for this drama because all the plot is like the same, going around in circles. And it started with that little CG flying thing saying, stop talking about the previous history of this world. Nobody cares, right? All the drama starts the same way. Let's just get right to the point, which is quite cute. And with that type of start, you kind of expect the drama would be basically ranting about itself. It's like fourth wall breaking Deadpool version of fantasy idol Chinese dramas, where they constantly just play on the existing character setup and trope and be self-aware. You almost expect that they're gonna Deadpool itself very heavily, but they didn't. So that's like, then like, why do you start with a CG little bee flying and saying those things? So like I said, for this genre, for xianxia or xian'ou, I always was waiting for that one drama that just like crank it up to maximum to just tear this whole genre down. Do the Deadpool thing and just like completely decimate traditions of this drama. That would be cool. I mean, a couple of years ago, you have Once Upon a Time. There's a Spirit Sword Mountain that kind of is trying to do that, but still it didn't do it so well. In terms of writing and also performance, it's like it's trying and it's doing more than others, but it didn't really fully scratch the itch. I'll put it that way. And then after that, nothing really came out even close to that level. And so right now you're in this. Xianxia is just so tropey and old and boring and slacking. It's like over fermented dough. Sorry about the bakery thing. I've been baking so many things recently, so it really feels like it's over fermented and the gluten structure completely collapsed. All the sugar is being eaten by the yeast and it's not gonna hold its shape anymore. You bake it, it's a pancake. It's still delicious, but it's like, it's not bread anymore. That's pretty much how this whole genre in dramaland in China is like. It's my opinion, okay? Hope that's like making sense. To me, it makes sense. But if you don't bake, you probably don't quite get it. And then you have, Lost You Forever. I've already made a video. Like, my opinion is pretty straightforward. And I didn't even mention exactly what's going on. Like I said one sentence, the fandoms are going crazy, and that's it. I didn't go into detail, but I did. And I didn't really go into detail to search because it's such a mess. I don't want to look at that and get that energy invited into my life. But I do know occasionally, like I get notified by things that people are talking about how viciously the fans of different actors in this drama are just trying to destroy each other's 正主. They're trying to destroy each other's idol. Like the fandoms are like different religions. And they're trying to attack each other's god, right? And so in the drama, the characters love each other, the actors playing lovers, and then outside of the drama, the fandoms are at each other's throat. It's just it's like let's just try to show like what's the bottom limit of the worst part of humanity, right? Just dig all the shit out. It's just extremely ugly, disgusting, stupid, and embarrassing. I find it's very embarrassing. And that the fandom thing even gets like the whole sort of twisted fandom cult, almost like following a cult leader sort of mentality thing, gets bled into sports. So like yesterday when the women's table tennis final happened between two Chinese athletes, you see that in Paris in live, like live, that just confuses a lot of other people from other parts of the world that probably are not really suffering from fandom too much in their life, so they have no idea what's going on. It's like two Chinese people fighting against each other, and it's like it's Chinese win-win anyway. Why would the people right there watching the competition support one and then boo the other person? They're the same team, they're teammates, and they're both from China, and that's fandom. Because for the last couple of years, Chinese table tennis had learned from idol, dramaland, fandom, operational skills and structure, and they, in many ways, intentionally pushed that way of idolizing their star athletes so that the host of table tennis thing can actually get more benefit from all types of things, like spokesmanship, fandom support. Like they literally do get monetary and other types of benefit and traffic. If they weren't doing any of those type of fandom thing, they wouldn't get. And it's pretty well known actually, and pretty openly known. And it started to plague the sport and made it an embarrassment on a global stage. For the top table tennis players in the world to have this happening was ridiculous. So, you see, you cannot say that something as inconsequential as dramaland is not going to affect bigger things. It does. This time you see it. It affects Olympic Games. This sort of mentality is absolutely poisonous and contagious, and it's so embarrassing. I'm like not surprised because I've seen it like since how many years ago, right? At the eye of the storm. So I know exactly like all these things, and I'm just like really embarrassed. And therefore, like when you see dramaland for certain dramas and actors fandoms keep doing this, it really just destroys any good impression you have on those actors. It does affect, right, your sort of impression on them, like even if you try to stay logical and stuff. But it's just like, you know, as soon as this type of thing happen, you're like, okay, the best I can do is stay neutral to this actor or actress or whatever, because who knows what kind of can of worm is like waiting for if I ever support this person in the future. Because apparently there's so many crazy people like surrounding this figure, so you don't want to get entangled in that. So you're like, oh, okay, 惹不起躲得起是吧? If I cannot like mess with you, then I can at least run away from you. And whenever you have like those absolutely extreme fandom thing happening, it definitely affects the person, he or she, themselves. Unavoidable. Unavoidable. And it's just a pity, and it's so unnecessary and just stupid. It's like, it's badness. Extreme stupidity equals badness. You know, like sometimes being very stupid equals being evil. Really. That's just, you see it in fandom playing out so frankly in your face. It's absolutely disgusting. And I know like Yang Zi's fans and Tan Jiance's fans particularly are at each other's throat so bad on the internet. It's almost like the same thing at Olympic Games, where you have two people, right, playing the game, and one person gets more support, and every time the other person gets a score, the whole arena like just boo the person. That happened at events between Yang Zi and Tan Jiance's fans. It's just disgusting. It's so disgusting. And then as a drama, Lost You Forever in itself is just... For the first season, I was like, yeah, it's like, I don't get it why it was so popular last year, to be honest. Because to me, it's very subpar standard staying in everything. Somehow, it was high. I really do not believe, honestly, that the 30,000 number that Tencent has for the first season was actually genuine real number. I feel, even if it's on the back end real number, it's a real number that got coordinated by a lot of the fans of different actors who are doing it as data factory worker. They either use robot or they like organize young people who are free during summer holiday, have nothing to do, just to do all the, like, you know, open different accounts, go and watch the drama, rewatch the drama, constantly loop the drama on the end of your computer, do whatever to hack the data so that it looks like a lot of people are watching. But it's actually not real traffic. It's still completely within the circle of fans of this drama. And for people who are outside of this circle, nobody's watching it. Like, I feel the number they got last year is something like that, because there's very easy, you observe general public, people who don't usually watch dramas. Do they actually know about Lost You Forever? And then do they, and also if you look at live comments on the drama, you see 90% is like same. It's all copy paste and it's all from fandom. So this fandom is like for Deng Wei, so it's like Deng Wei is good looking and blah blah blah. That is from Yang Zi, and that is from Zhang Wenyi, and that is from Tan Jianci. And what goes across the screen has nothing to do with, at the moment, the plot. And when you see that type of live comment that does not relate to the right at this moment plot, what the characters said, dialogue, then you know it's robot, it's bot, it's being basically data, like it's like factory washing it, and people just keep posting the same thing. They are just like cramming it in. Even when during a scene, when one actor is actually not present for that scene, you still see all the live comments saying, oh, he's so good looking. And if you see too many of that type of live comments of a drama, that means that drama is literally being data washed by whatever, either automatically by bots or by real people doing it, because it's not how naturally really people who are watching a drama react. And then if you jump to, like, say, dramas like Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty Season 2, you turn on the iQIYI live comment, it's always right in the moment. When a character just said something that's funny, immediately it gets picked out in the live comment and people start playing jokes and memes and expand on that. And you see, if you can see a lot of really funny meme that got invented about a drama that previously wasn't in the sort of popular language, or even the creators of the show never expected people would interpret certain things that way, but it did, and it becomes really popular and funny, then you can tell it's actually being watched by a large number of real humans who are actually in it to watch a drama as their priority than as fans of anybody else. So those live comments become really funny. Like, I would turn on live comment when I watch Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty, because there are so many jokes people made that are just like, it's like adding 20% more fun to the actual drama, because it's so well written and so observant and so absolutely ridiculously funny. And you don't expect, but then somebody just make up a word for that and you just laugh so much because it's like, oh my God, never thought about that, but it's just such a clever interpretation of what just happened, and it starts to create its own meme. I see that in every episode of Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty, and I don't see that at all at Lost You Forever. So to me, Lost You Forever is like a fandom tailored for those leading actors. It's like tailored to their fans. It's serving their own ego project, and serving sort of the people's... it's very narcissistic, basically, for the main actors involved, but also for the fandoms. It's their private party that does not really invite people from outside, and people from outside don't get it either. But they, it's so these two types of dramas are essentially totally different. Although they're both period dramas and almost like both 40 plus episodes, they actually are not the same species of things at all. And personally, I'm just like really tired of Lost You Forever, that type of drama that, as a drama itself, is very bland and shallow and pointless. And then the drama outside of the drama often is even more dramatic than the drama itself. And it's like a really unhealthy energy vortex that's trying to suck you in. If you get into this drama, it's like nothing is positive coming out of that. So, to me, they don't really qualify as proper dramas anymore. It's like a type of packaged and tailored, targeted to a particular customer group, ultra processed food for brain, like not for your stomach. But it's a form of ultra process. It's just like feed this, not feed this. That's the nature of it. And so Lost You Forever to me is like that. So like the nature of the whole thing is like that. So whoever is in it really is not gonna make that much of a difference. And then it's not gonna leave any impression on me like for any long time to come. And I mean, if people had fun with it, it's totally fine. But personally, I'd rather not watch that. Spending any time watching that feels to me is just not doing anything for me. For a fastest record of dropping, I don't know. I actually never really. I don't have an Excel form to have it jot down and say I dropped this at minute 2. I don't know, but for the ones I can't even remember, those would be the ones that I dropped fastest. Because now, if I cannot recall, but then I actually have watched them, that means like I dropped them really fast. If I can remember, I still haven't dropped them fast enough. Ultimate hit drama. Insane review. Because there are so many people in this world. We have 8 billion. You cannot make everybody like the same thing. Maybe apart from gold. Like real, like not paper money. I'm saying the thing that's in earth that you dig out and you work them into this one piece of shining yellow metal. Maybe that's the only thing everybody loves, because we all innately know it has value, and it's true. It's a rare element. In a lot of planets in this universe doesn't even have that. It's hard to make it. It has a lot of functions that's beyond current human science. That's what I know about gold. It's not just precious metal, although it is precious metal, but it's actually a lot more than that. But then, if you're limited to current science and dimensional technology, you don't really fully open that thing's potential. But I think human innately knows it's valuable, not just because it's money, but it's actually valuable in itself. Apart from that, I think you can't have all the humans agree on anything else. It's like everybody loves it. No. I mean, I know, for example, there are very successful series such as Breaking Bad, one of the highest claimed US television shows. I've watched one season, I think 1 or 2. I can't remember exactly, it's been a while. And on one hand, I would agree, it's actually a really good series. On the other hand, it's not my type of thing. It's like I'm not eager to, say, keep watching it, or I'm not particularly interested in its way of representing violence and stuff. You know, it's just not my cup of tea, even though I know like actors great and you can totally tell the creators have talent, but it's like, still though, I'd rather watch some silly romantic dramas than this, because not my cup of tea. Chunming, thank you for your super chat. You missed your renting. I haven't rent that much yet in this video. If you're talking about live stream, if you're talking about renting videos, well, if I want to rent, I'll definitely make them for sure. Okay. So it's unlikely you're ever gonna get something that everybody loves. Also, it changes with time. The same thing. As time goes on, we'll have different response and rating. And we've seen that happening to many movies, older ones that has been around for a while. You'll see very different interpretation over time. It may start really well at the time when it was first released, and then get criticism later, and then get a revival later, and it's just like cycling it. In our lifetime, we already have seen, for example, for the film like Titanic, right? It had really interesting, different public reaction to it over the last 2 decades. Even though it's only, 20, like less than 30 years old, it has already gone through a couple of different stages of popularity and people's overall opinion about it. So, talk about everybody agrees is like a fantastic thing. Never gonna happen, actually. Minglan is still your favorite time. Yeah, all-time favorite. Cool. At least you know you have an all-time favorite. To me, it's like just really hard to actually decide what is all-time favorite. And it's gonna change actually over time. Minglan is getting more and more criticism as it goes on. Because it was 2019, January drama, I believe. So it's been 5 years. When it first came out, it got this type of reception, and it starts to change and move. You know, now in 2024, it actually gets more criticism and it started pretty much in 2024. And it comes with basically a first wave of criticism on Ru Yi's royal palace, and then people start to find similarities in this narrative, or more in sort of what is the underlying value that the drama is trying to consolidate in its expression or in its way of looking at, for example, a woman's role in that society, and how much of it is actually contemporary people's imagination that actually has no bearing in real history and is very different from real history, and it actually reflects the current sort of backward movement of the social value in China in the last 20 years, along with its economic development. It's sort of like liberation of the mind is actually going backward, and it's kind of reflecting that wave of tendency of thinking about things. And a lot of people actually do really deep analysis into story of Minglan and why it is a contemporary story that reflects this type of value that's actually totally has nothing to do with the time the drama is set in, Song Dynasty or any Chinese historical time. It is talking about a lot of people's sort of, let's say, unfortunately going backward value about feminism, women, individuals, position and value in the society. And it's quite interesting. I've seen quite a lot of people actually go into depth. And previously, when the drama was airing the first year, nobody really was like looking at it from that angle at all. It's not like it's not there. It's always the same drama, same episode account, same thing happening, same actors. You can't change it. It's already out there. But over the 5 years of time, I think because the world is changing, then suddenly it's like somebody just like saw another layer of the things ongoing, and they start to look at it from different angles. And this has happened this year for a lot of older dramas. Ru Yizhuan is one, Zhifou is another, that gets really, really analyzed. And it's really fascinating to see that wave of thoughts and thinking and analysis going on. At least it shows people are actively figuring out things. They become more aware, right? It's better than just sitting there passively and just get everything from other people, you know. So quite interesting, and I guess drama serves better purposes in that way. So over time, you see like how much more it could do, right? So that's probably the long tail effect of something that is very much within the collective consciousness's domain, right? It's not really under the original creator's control at all. It has its own evolution to go through, and it's just fun to observe that. I don't have previously dramas I like and now I dislike. Not really, because I don't like that many to start with. So that's good. I don't have overflowing sort of like enthusiasm of things I like that much. For example, the ones that have flopped in this year, right? Like Rui or Zhifo, they're both like, to me, it's like watchable, but then I never voluntarily go and loop them or rewatch them at all. I have my reasons, but sometimes it's not just like those deeper reasons. It could just be I don't like the style of it. For example, Zhifo, its costume is really poorly made. and to me, like I'm just really picky on these things. If its story is not overwhelmingly so good that I can ignore the problems it has in its hard standard production stuff, then I would not really want to watch it. I remember when I was watching Zhifo Minglan, I really minded so badly the needlework of costumes. Like you see how anal I am. There are a lot of close-ups of the male actors. When you see the details of their collar, you can totally see the sewing machine. When they are pushing it through the sewing machine, they didn't adjust the tension of the thread correctly, so that it all ripples. It has the uneven needlework that causes the collar line to pull and the fabric to have those little folds. And that's basically bad tailorship. And if you're doing a proper tailoring, you shouldn't be doing. And if you made that, you should cut it off and redo it, readjust. And if you buy really cheap clothing that's made in a sort of like, unfortunately, exploring like Bangladesh, in those blood sweat factory, you have a lot of those really poorly made clothing because it goes through and it's really fast. And you would see those really bad sewing machine tailorship thing. And I see a lot of that in Zhifo. And I find it's just like, I can't watch it. I feel like, yeah, you know? I know it's weird, but like I literally mind these things that causes me not to rewatch a drama. If I notice it, I get really pissed and I can't watch it. If I don't notice it, or if the drama has other things that are so good that I voluntarily would want to ignore it, then it's okay. But if the other things are not good enough and then you have this, it's me. I know. Can't help it. Terry, you're being very serious. Yeah, but American television's house, yeah, there were golden times. I think it's overall also the whole society's energy at a particular era in time that will get reflected in entertainment stuff. If you go back and look at like the 90s television series from America, right, it's overall just so much more films, televisions, it has that more robust, confident, and because you're so confident, you're not worried about tiny, like you're not walking on eggshells. You're not being, oh, this may offend other people, oh, this is like not politically correct, oh, this is not equality. You don't have that. You just have that robust, just live energy with the big hairstyle, like blow dry, and you have that the overall confidence, right? We're the best country in the world, like how America always says. But these days, when Americans say that, it feels like a desperate attempt to prove that it hasn't fallen behind. Whereas in the 90s, when American televisions and films actually say that, you actually believe it. Because it comes from a lot more genuine and supported, sustained place. Whereas now, it's like desperately just grasping. And the harder you try, the more weak you appear to be. And from television series, I can also feel that. And also, like, the pollution of political correctness is just woke culture, whatever you call it. It's just so funny. It just makes everything like, even it out. Equality of, yeah, whatever. It's funny, right? We have this Olympic Games to see that the overblown, out of proportion representation of minority is just funny. We want to represent everyone. Therefore, we decided to represent like tiny proportion of the big entire population of human beings, like disproportionately bigger than everybody else. So that, I don't know, like it makes us morally more superior. It's just stupid. And you see that happening, right, in everything. So now it goes to Olympic Games too. The world is a weird place. In that way, Chinese drama at least is just only being silly. At least it doesn't have everything. That's crazy these days. Yeah. Anybody who went to watch Deadpool and Wolverine and Deadpool? I think the funniest would be the historicals, you know, the West makes, like in the UK or anywhere, where they put black people in Tudor time and say they are the aristocrat. I'm like, come on. Inventing history is not being respectful to what actually went down in history. And to Chinese people, it's just absolutely funny. Just imagine you have a white guy, right, playing a Chinese traditional, whatever, like a historical emperor. And you're just saying, or a black guy, it doesn't matter. It's like, because equality of race. I'm like, oh, Jesus. That's like the funniest thing. You know, like, to the Chinese public, that's something that nobody can understand, literally. Like, whenever you see anybody talking about, like, you know, BBC has produced a Tudor series where they have a black person playing whatever historical figure, you see like how Chinese people react to that. Everybody is just like, why? It's so funny. No, there are quite a lot of shows in Cantonese, but they tend to mostly be produced within, say, Guangdong province or Hong Kong, due to Cantonese is located to that geolocation. Outside of the location, most Chinese people don't speak it or understand, and it's very hard to understand it, actually, even though it's Chinese. If you don't speak it at all, you speak Mandarin, it's like a foreign language, almost impossible for you to understand at all. Therefore, it has the natural sort of like barrier of either you have lived there, get education there, so you know, like daily use of the actual language, that you can do it. So if, say, I'm like I don't understand Cantonese. Like, I can understand a couple of words, but not really. So for me, it's just like if I'm watching Cantonese series, I would need subtitle. And then if you're from those regions and your Mandarin is really poor, then you often need subtitle to look at Mandarin too. And that's just, it is. Cantonese and Mandarin, yes, they're Chinese, but they're very different Chinese. If you just listen to it phonetically, it's really hard. Okay, they don't really translate. Cantonese is actually more complicated sounding than Mandarin. It has nine different tones. Mandarin technically only has 5. You have 4 and you plus 1 that doesn't have it. And then Cantonese has 9. So it's a lot harder for you to tell the subtle differences between a couple of them. To me, it's really hard. I mean, I haven't really spent time learning it, but it's quite magical. Actually, Cantonese probably not the most. The 客家方言. So around Fujian, that region where it produces the best red tea, black tea in the world, the Fujian region's local dialect is probably closest today, still being used, to the relatively ancient Chinese pronunciation. So let's say if you're from Tang Dynasty, right? Like Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty, you live actually in Tang Dynasty. You time travel to 21st century, directly understanding one dialect, the closest thing you can hear that will give you most information probably is the Fujian dialect. And then maybe a bit in Guangdong, but not so much Cantonese. Fujian dialect would be a lot more closer to ancient, like say over 1,000-year-old Chinese. And then if you go to the mainland China, other parts, and listening to Mandarin, you'll be completely lost. The same thing, if I time travel to Tang Dynasty, I would not be able to understand what they are talking about at all. Just by, I have to write it down. Then we can communicate, but if we talk, we will not be understanding each other. And they will sound to me very much like people from the southeast coast area of China. Still very different, but at least phonetically it will be more like that, whereas completely different from current Mandarin. That's how the phonetic of language has shifted over time greatly. So the one good thing about Chinese language is it has this not changing for thousands of years writing system, so that even though the sound of it always changes, you can still read somebody who wrote something 1,000 years ago with no problem. You just don't know how they sound back then. Abby, take your time. Although I do think Mandarin is actually easier than Cantonese, so you have upper hand. Yeah, Fujian Hokkien said 普通话 is hard. Yeah, I guess if you're not born into it, it's always hard. Yeah, pretty much mandatory, but then it's like it's the like say generation. Like if you're younger, you definitely have better Mandarin. Like these days, if you go to anywhere, like if school kids, they have perfect Mandarin almost always. But say if you're like right now mid-aged person or even older, it's likely when you were little, you didn't get that education that well because your teachers are not really like so proficient in Mandarin to start with. So they have heavy accent. They pass it to you. You grow up, you never need to use proper Mandarin. So then you don't have it. Your younger, like your kids or your grandchildren, they will be a lot better. And that's pretty widely applicable. I remember, say when I was little, right, there are still people who are like really good at their local dialect, like Chongqing or Shanghai. They're not good at Mandarin. But now, you go and find any kid anywhere. They can almost all speak a really good Mandarin now. It takes time. Because Mandarin didn't get consolidated and let's say we are the standard pronunciation until mid-last century, after the mid-century. So you have a couple of generations of people who needs to be basically all taught and then taught properly, and so they can teach the next generation. So takes about a couple of generations to make everybody having a standard accent, I'd say. So that's pretty normal. Princess Royal. I eventually it comes down to the scriptwriter is just not that good. And apart from not being able to make the story that well connected, they also couldn't really add more to it, like make it just a step deeper, a more complicated, more observant on every level story. They don't have the ability, right? I'd say the scriptwriter is just not that well trained and educated in both script writing and also in historical, cultural knowledge, literature knowledge, all that. So it becomes a very entertainment, shallow, romantic idol drama that really doesn't go even one step further. And then even with its own storytelling, it's pretty, like certain parts of it is ridiculous. Princess Royal got a bit, I think, off-putting because it really tries to obviously to push the male second actor out. And you can see that. He has his own BGM, he has his slow motion, he has a lot of screen time, a completely useless plot just to take the screen time that he has. He has a very emphasized presence in the story when his story is not that interesting and his acting is poor. So you have a feeling of whatever is like putting money behind this project really want to push the actor, the male second, out. And it's too obvious. But he's not really the material. Therefore, it just angers people who came into the drama just want to watch the leads. And because his overemphasis importance to the plot and his presence, it literally made a lot of people ditch the drama. I'm one of those people. I can't watch this guy. He's always there. He gets like special treatment. And then he can't act. And his plot is boring. And his character is just like... I'm not saying it's masterpiece writing to start with anyway, but at least it had some comedy and quite fun. But as soon as you get into the story, you just realize they just want to put all the screen time on the male second, who's like, he's nothing to the story, to the acting, to the plot. I mean, there's nothing, like you can't sell this drama on this guy. He carries nothing. Really, he's just like, I'd say he shouldn't be an actor. It's not his forte. Should find something else to do. Not everybody's meant to be an actor. And acting is not the profession that anybody can just randomly walk in and be fine with it. If you can't do it, why? You know, do something else. It's like, I would never try to become an athlete because I know I can't. Anyway, and then the writing is pretty, yeah, pathetic. Anyway, so I kind of like just like gradually phased out of that drama. I do know what happened at the end. Also, I think a lot of that comes down to the director of this drama is not a really good director. Because if you have any idea about your setup, which is around Wei Jing time of a fictional court, there are certain things that you need to control the actors. You need, like when they're acting in a way in front of the camera, you need to say cut and stop them and tell them what you just did is not really fitting your role. Because first, you're actually 40 years old instead of 18. Just remember that, although you're in your 18th body, you are middle-aged, very experienced political figure of a kingdom. You would not be walking, talking, acting like that. Think about your mother, okay, how he, she, or your dad, how they talk to each other and do things. Okay, your performance is off character. And if you're a good director, you should be able to spot that for a second and say, we need to adjust. Your acting is not making sense for your role. Apparently for this drama, it never happened. So you have Zhao Jinmai and Zhang Linghe. Yes, they're having fun, but as you watch more, you realize they're actually not playing their 40-year-old self. They're still playing the 20-year self, which does not make sense, okay? You know, like, I mean, if you're only 15, don't worry, you'll get old, okay? You'll live to 100, and by the time you get old, you'll understand. You would be a very different person 20 years down the line compared to who you are now. And you cannot reverse it. So, if the younger actors don't have a clue about how to play 40-year-old, you can have all types of ways to For a director, experienced director, you need to elicit that. You need to teach them. You need to adjust. All right, actors are like dough. You need to shape them. If you don't do that job well, then it's on you. I mean, the actors. I'm pretty sure with Zhao Jingmai's sort of like what I've seen her since she is a kid, she's pretty shapeable. If you're good enough, a director, you can to some extent help her to control her performance, right? You can tell her how to do it, really. She can do it. But then if you completely don't realize that's a problem, and then she flies off her own way, then that's what we end up looking like with this drama where it's really hard for you to get convinced that she's 40-year-old in a 20-year-old body. It does not work like that, okay? The vibes is wrong. She literally is like a 20-year-old in a 20-year-old body. Also, like, you know, where do you put the like expectation of audiences since they're watching a period drama that's supposedly not fantasy, right? It's still historical in a way. Then what do you expect an ancient princess to talk, walk, and how she should be basically doing everything? Her performance tends to look a little bit, both of them tend to look a little bit too contemporary. The tone of voice, the little movement in their body, it's just, it's very hard to believe they're ancient royals, right? They're like cosplaying. They're young 21st century people cosplaying ancient people. That's what you feel when you watch their performance. It lacks that sort of weight of historical. And then again, that comes down to the directors is not taking control, or at least they don't want to do it, or they don't realize it's necessary for this drama. I don't know, but it ends up looking like this a little bit. It's like if people really have an expectation of you looking more like a period drama setting and that time people, then it's hard for them to really compute that this very contemporary 21st century vibe of the two characters. They're only time traveling. They're not like into their younger body. They're not traveling to 21st century and going back. So, you know, I mean, the subtle things look a bit off really in this drama. But, you know, those are just like what I can see. Ultimately, I think it's still comes down to script writing quality is just very mediocre. So you have this. You know, the other day, yesterday, I just realized something. I was like, is there a like definitive, like, I don't know, deity or god of flour, like very specifically of wheat? Not just by cooking, right? Or oven, like wheat. Anybody in any culture that has that? I have a weird feeling that I may have a really good relationship with this deity in my past life. I have no idea. Because so far, I've tried so many things with wheat and I just almost never failed. And it's like quite impressive, I think. Chinese mantou, which is a steamed bun like bread. A lot of people, when they do it for a long time, they still make mistakes, causing after you're steaming it, you open the pot and it starts to collapse immediately. So it has dents on its top. I haven't had that happening to me at all, although I'm not from northern China. So I actually don't, when I grew up with rice. We hardly do any flour-based food at home. I have succeeded at croissant, sourdough, bagel, or a cake, like whether it's chiffon, sponge. I've succeeded at all types of pastry, like pretty much everything you can bake. I haven't done baguette, but not because I don't want to do it. I just know I can do it because I can do sourdough, so I can do baguette. It's like the same thing, just different shaping technique. But I don't want to bother because baguette needs like those linen, cotton, and those shaping thing. I don't want to spend money to buy. And so I didn't make them, but I know I can make them. So I've tried so many baking things since February this year to now, and I am yet to see an epic failure. Maybe sometimes it's just not perfect, but it's like by no means failure. And I'm like, this is weird, because I previously never worked with flour intentionally at all. Like often, sometimes it's just making jiaozi, dumpling, which is nothing. You just have a dough and then you have it in pieces and then you wrap it up, right? There's no like difficulty involved basically in that. You don't ferment, you don't do anything. That's all I do. And everything else that has flour, I buy them ready made. Like noodles, I don't make them myself basically. And I never made bread. Never made anything that has sort of like complicated shaping, fermentation, whatever, like crazy technique. I did multiple times of croissant. They came out differently. I think it's because I picked different flour and ratio that causes it to have different reaction. Also temperature, because room temperature is really important for hand rolled out pastry. But once I have everything figured out, for my flour, how much water, how much like it works best, then it's like no problem. I'm yet to fail at any baking or any flour thing, and it's quite interesting. It's like, okay, I didn't find that out until like now in my life, which is pretty late. I mean, for the last couple of decades, I never realized I had that talent. But hey, weird. I'm just thinking, maybe I have like, I don't know, my DNA has something worked into it that's like really friendly to gluten. I have no idea. It's like a gluten loves me. Chef is okay. If I want to be a good chef, I can, I think. I just don't want to bother because it's so much work. And also, like, I don't have a gas stove, so technically can't be a good chef without a gas stove, let's be honest. And we can't do it because where we live, it's just not even connected to any gas outlets. You can't do it. I think I find baking fascinating is because baking is very chemistry. It's actually very science-based. It's like, don't argue with the science of gluten. Gliadin and gluten, like, don't argue with it. Don't argue with yeast and bacteria. They have their natural order of things. You follow it, and it's so scientific, actually. Baking is so scientific. Temperature, whatever, like ratio, water. It's like chemistry, right? You measure it to the perfect like ratio, and you control all the variables, and you have but if you have one variable that's like not in control, then things can go out of whack, and it's fascinating. It's like lab work in the kitchen. Baking is lab work. It's probably most lab work like cooking aspect of any types of cooking. Yeah, because baking is science, and it does not, you can't freestyle it. You'll fail. It's so accurate and precise, everything. Other things can actually have a lot of freedom in it, but baking, I think it's because of chemically, because of the starch, gluten, or the reaction with water, and then fermentation. These are all basically chemistry, right? Lab thing. And chemistry is like, it doesn't argue with, you can't argue with it. If it reacts to this element and that element needs this to react, it's like nothing you can do about it. It's nature's law. Baking is like that. So yesterday, I tried something that's a Chinese way of making. If you go to Chinese restaurant, particularly northern, like Chinese Shanxi northern restaurant, you'll see the cold noodle. It's a 凉皮. It usually comes with 肉夹馍 or the other things. I don't know how many people know that, but basically it's a form of separating the gluten, the protein, and the starch of flour, and then put them back into the same bowl food. So it's like cold, very chewy rice. It's not rice, it's flour noodles, cold, with spice and a bit like chopped cucumber, garlic. It's always eaten cold. And it's actually made from flour. Previously, I had no idea. Like I thought it's just like rice noodle. It's not. It's flour noodle, but it's flour noodle without gluten. So you actually manually separate the gluten out of it, then make the noodle, and then you add the separated gluten that got steamed, cut into pieces, back into it. So you're still eating the original dough, but you literally manually separate it into two and eat them back together again. It's just such a weird thing. And by doing that, you create very unique texture that if you just make noodle, you would never have it because the gluten is in the noodle. Whereas for liang pi, the gluten is outside of the noodle. And I never know that's how it got made. So I tried it, and supposedly it's really hard to fail, really easy to fail, because there are a couple of things that if you don't do it all correctly, it's gonna just completely 翻车. Anyway, I tried it for the first time in my life. I never did it before and don't even know it's actually done that way. So the day before yesterday, I washed the dough, and it has to be set aside, and then you wait for all the starch to settle at the bottom, and then you pour the water out on top. So I waited for a night, basically in fridge. And then yesterday I made with the flour starch of the noodle, and they came out perfect. Not breaking, not tearing, very springy, chewy, glossy, perfect. And supposedly, if you've never made it, it's like 90% of the chances you're gonna fail the first time. And I'm like, really? Let me try. And it came out perfect. I'm like, okay, so now I think I have some weird talent with gluten and flour that I wasn't previously aware of. And I don't know where it came from. Apparently not from my mother, because she's from south of China. She doesn't really make any flour thing. She only makes rice. So that's like came out of nowhere. I was like, okay, interesting. No, liang pi actually came from, there are different types of liang pi, but the classic Shanxi liang pi, like the Shanxi, like where Bai Yu comes from, the actor, their liang pi is standard made with flour. I'll show you what it looks like. I hope it can show up on my unhappy Panasonic. It does not want to focus most of the time. So when you make it, it's like a sheet. Like that. And it's actually flour, but it's only the starch part of the flour. You actually separate the gluten out. So it doesn't have any of those protein. It's just pure starch. And when you like have multiple sheets, you put them on a plate, it looks like that. And then you chop them down to noodle size. Yeah, see how hard it is trying to focus on it. And then eventually it will look like something like this. If you've ever been to this type of restaurant in China, you probably have seen them. I have cucumber in this, but I skin the cucumber so you can't see the dark green. You may not be able to tell it's cucumber, but it's cucumber. So you have like stuff that soy sauce, vinegar, multiple different spices, and then like chili oil. And that's what it is. It's really funny that it's still the same dough, but you literally have it in two parts. So you need to knead the dough as normal flour dough. You rest it, knead it, and you soak it in water and you wash it. You literally do this. And you let all the starch come out so the water becomes milky. It's like a milk. But then eventually what's left is the pulling really springy pure gluten, and you steam that gluten and you cut it into pieces, and then you use the sediment of the starchy water to then heat it up with water on a pan with a very thin layer. You scoop in, and with 2 minutes sitting on the boiling water to cook it very quickly, and then you peel it off. So it's like a piece of skin, and then you chop it down and it becomes liang pi. And like ancient people are weird. Like they're so bored that they figured out there's actually a food they can make by first kneading the dough, but then wash it. I was like, oh. People are crazy. Beggar chicken, I'm not sure which region, but it's a pretty well-known ancient, like traditional food, and it's just quite interesting. You wrap it in mud, and then you wrap it in leaves, and you dig a hole in the ground, and you bake it in the ground until all is cooked and hardened, and you knock off all the mud on top, and the chicken is cooked. They call it beggar chicken, I guess, because beggars don't have cookware. The only thing they can use is nature, right? So that's a pretty interesting way of cooking it. Rice is like the rice roll are using the same technique. You're making the milk like a starchy liquid, and then you spoon it into a very thin pan. You heat it so it gets cooked, and you peel it off. The science behind it is the same, but because rice doesn't have gluten, so you don't have the separation thing. You basically just milk it. You literally soak, and then you turn it into rice milk, and then you make it. But for flour, you have to first take the gluten out. Traditional Chongqing hot pot, I mean, whatever they get on their hand, they'll just cook it. Because traditional hot pot is for lower class people who don't have time to money to afford proper cuts of meat, so they eat organs and anything they can get hold of. So it could be anything, just like, or dump it in. I mean, technically, once you like extract the starch, you can dry it. It turns into powder. It's the wheat starch you can buy actually in shops. They're like bags of flour, but apart from it doesn't have gluten, it's just like wheat starch. Wang Hedi, you know, he has a very, I wouldn't say, you know, it's like he for his age, which is pretty young, he has overall actually quite well developed EQ and emotional stability core. If you see a lot of variety show he's in, you can sense that he knows how to not adding burdens mentally on other people or himself. And then in situations, he chills. And he's pretty not flustered at anything. And particularly for young people, it's not that easy, I'd say. And he's not doing it in an extremely offensive, like narcissistic way. He actually really is pretty considerate of every other person's, like he knows how to navigate basically, and not to make everybody feel in any way pressured, but still sort of get his point across and get everybody sort of like doing the things they need to do. Like overall, he's pretty well balanced, I'd say. I mean, I've seen a couple of like variety show moments of him, and I'm like, as a young guy, that's actually not that hard to, not that easy to do. A lot of people have no clue about how to get along with basically a group of other people. He seems to be, so that requires a level of, I'd say, intelligence or like innate ability to, a lot of people spend their whole lifetime and can't do it. It's not easy. So in that sense, I find Wang Hedi is actually pretty interesting. But then, you know, ultimately to me, like he's an actor. If he can't do acting or the roles well, then, you know, like those things wouldn't really matter, not much. But he's not an annoying prick like so many people in industry who are young and successful or popular are, right? This guy really is pretty well balanced. I mean, if you compare to just how ridiculously spoiled and narcissistic like Huang Zitao is in the variety shows, anybody who unfortunately has set their eyes on his variety show that literally is like for the sake of his romantic relationship with the girl, oh my god, every second of it was like a torture to watch. And in many ways you're like, oh my god, how did you manage to live to this age, right? And then like still functioning like with that type of EQ. I guess like a super rich rich second generation always have a security net at the bottom, so he never actually needs to confront anything by himself. So he lives in a bubble. Like if you look at Huang Zitao, he's just such a bubbled up person. Even though by the age of like physical, biological age, he's in his 30s, a lot of teenagers and even younger kids would be more mature than he is. And it's pretty, yeah, Huang Zitao. If you've watched this variety show, you'll see what I mean. So, like, if you compare these two persons, Huang Zitao and Wang Hedi, right? In like the Wang Hedi is younger, but in terms of like, say, if he's your colleague, you need to work with this person to some extent in your professional field, or even just like as a casual friend. But you need to say like, we need to go on an island, live together for a week, or we need to do a project for a month. Who would you rather be working with? I say like, with all your like 2 arms and 2 legs up, you definitely pick Wang Hedi. Okay, that's just like pretty obvious. That's why I say he's a clever guy, not meaning that, you know, in other sense, but in the sense of he can function in the world pretty well, even when he's not like say popular or having money or as a star. Like he would probably get along with whoever he needs to get along pretty well. Switching, yay! Have fun. And people who need to go to sleep and tomorrow will work, need to watch Olympic Games, just ignore me. I'll have this on my channel anyway. Anything else we need to talk about Chinese dramaland? We've talked about Princess Royal, we talked about Love's Rebellion, Tang Dynasty. I will make videos, so we don't need to talk about it here anymore, I think. Anything else ongoing? I mean, I'm watching as husband as wife, but until it finishes, probably. It depends on if I want to talk about it. So far, it's actually quite well made. I mean, Ying Tao and Guo Jingfei, they really play a very normal and pretty functional and interesting sort of like mid-age contemporary married couple with a kid. With all the typical problems you're gonna run into, but still like making it make sense. And their acting is very relaxed. A lot of those moments, I feel like it's just improvised or almost like just let the camera roll and see what they say. So they have a lot of those quite well captured domestic drama that's not intentionally put there to make your blood pressure rise and go crazy, but still quite funny to watch. So if you want to watch a very typical type of like contemporary middle-aged couple with a kid life story about sort of balancing the husband and the wife's role, constantly switching and changing things up, it's pretty fun. I mean, it's pretty well made, and all the actors are like, they're having fun. Like, I have the feeling that for as husband as wife, they all go on set and they're like, okay, we know the goal of this scene, which is we need to get this information out, we need to push the plot this way, and this needs to happen, and we all know roughly what everybody needs to say, and then let's just roll the camera and have fun. Like, they have that really relaxed but controlled energy of storytelling. It's pretty fun. I so far really liked it. With Guo Jingfei, Yin Tao, Zhang Yunlong, Qi Xi are the 4 leads. Oh, and the 100 Flowers. The 100 Flowers just happened, like a couple of hours ago. The film award. That's the sort of public voted version instead of Golden Rooster. Golden Rooster is professional panel. 100 Flower is voting. I think Zhu Yilong got the best actor. Yeah. And then Ma Li got best actress. Zhang Yimou got best director. I caught these three before I sat down. I don't know if there's more. Well, it's kind of expected, because if you look at the list of the nominated actors, I'd say only gonna happen between him and Liu Dehua on the list. It's not gonna be any of those three other people. They're just there to fill up the list, but they're not gonna be really considered. So I was like, yeah, either him or Liu Dehua, depending on which one is gonna get picked. I mean, so it's him. Okay, fine. So now he's both Golden Rooster and 100 Flower, which is the most you can get in China in the film award sort of category. But I'd say because in recent years, both awards credibility and also overall the cinema's overall quality of films are very uneven or sort of not so ideally strong. So even if you get an award for the same role in one movie for both awards, on one hand it's good, but on the other hand is like, is that gonna guarantee from now on that his film cinema career is gonna be fantastic? It's very hard to say, because Chinese cinema unfortunately is still overall just like lacking so many things that even by getting Golden Rooster and 100 Flower, it does not really guarantee anything substantially sort of like positive or promising for the future projects. I mean, yes, he's got those, so he will be more expensive. He will probably have more choices and more things coming his way. But the thing is, if the overall quality of things are not that high, you can say, previously you get 100 script every year. Now you get 500. But then the 500 is still the problem of like 495 of them are just like as crappy as the other one. So does it make a huge difference in terms of getting 100 and getting 500, right? That's the thing, is you can get awarded. It's definitely a positive thing, for no problem, but it wouldn't automatically turn into any types of guarantee for, therefore you're set, you're all good. Also, whether a film gets a lot of awards and recognition does not directly translate into its marketing and commercial value. So something can never get any award but makes a lot of money. Something can get a lot of award but nobody's watching. Ideally you wanna sort of like best of both worlds, but is that really realistic? Now he's got the reputation and award side down. Commercial value side is going to be a really hard thing to do, because you cannot 100% rely on your fandom. Zhu Yilong has huge fandom. We all know that. I mean, I was at the front line of getting murdered by these people, so I know what it was like. But say he still has that many fans, but his commercials now from now on, right? Or whether he takes part in highly money-making projects, or whether he can by himself create a lot of that, cannot be just relied upon his fandom. Although he has a big fandom, it's still very limited in comparison to the huge demographics of people who are not his fans. But if it's the project that's attractive, then they're gonna come into and immediately make the box office blow up. And that wouldn't really be fully or in any way sort of heavily relying upon his fandom. So next step, I guess, is see if he can make huge box office maker films. And that's going to be hard. Because really funny thing is, right now so far, when you look at all those super money making machine films, it's not those movies that produced award-winning actors and actresses. And, you know, if you cannot, in a way, make the award, right, getting monetized very efficiently, then having awards is just like having yourself in the ivory tower, and people are gonna look up to it, and then they're gonna walk around you and find other people who can make them more money. So we live in a very realistic world. Genre movie, I think so. The 21st century thing. I think it's like I've seen so many people saying it's a very wacky movie that I'm just curious to see it. Next month or two, I don't know which one is gonna come out. I kind of have a rough idea, but none of them has announced confirmation yet. 四方馆 from Tencent is likely. 柳州记 from Tencent is likely. So the 张晚意, Wang Churan, and 谭健次, Zhou Yiran one may come out. On 爱奇艺, not quite sure. Apart from the Lonely Hero's Journey, what else is gonna come out? There's a couple more. Nothing that like the thing that I look forward most has just happened, which is Tang Dynasty 2. After that, I'm like, I'm okay to anything. I'm not particularly looking forward to any of them anyway. So whatever comes, you know. Yeah. For younger and later audiences of my channel who ask me about like how does like Chinese drama thing to me comes about, you can answer it. You can answer Mr. M or Miss Jordan for me. ZRY. What is ZRY? 注意 ZRY. Who is ZRY? I have no idea. Was Zhu Yilong considered 0 or 1 in his CP? Funk style. With Have you read the Guardian book? If you have, you'll know. It's the same as the book. Same glass as I have right now. The black rounded rim glass guy is the top guy. I know, it's funny. Tan Jianci Li Landi's drama could happen anytime, I think. I'm just not sure when. Not hearing any news from it. I think it's Tencent drama. Hasn't heard anything from it. It will be very eye candy. Both people are very pretty. I like them. Like they both look really pretty. But again, Tan Jianci is gonna run into the problem where the female lead is almost at the same height as he is, and it's gonna be hard for him to do that. You know, when you think about Li Landi and Chen Xinxu in Starry Love, that body shape difference, that size difference, it's like really working for romantic drama, I'm just saying. Now, if you think about Tan Jianci and Li Landi, immediately you're gonna get the feeling that Li Landi is gonna be on top. Because I feel like Li Landi is like more a young energy than Tan Jianci, and Tan Jianci is like even a prettier boy than Li Landi. Sorry, but Li Landi to me, although she's a actress woman, she always vibrates with a very sunny energy. It's like a very male, solar. Like if I look at Li Landi, I never think about her as moon, as lunar, as the soft and the feminine. The person comes across to me as just like a bright, solar woman. Very solar. That's her energy, and I read her like that. So I'm just thinking when she is like there with Tan Jianci is gonna be the moon. It's just the energy is so reading like that. It's gonna be really funny. And by the way, she is gonna be shape shifting into all types of things. So he's gonna get beaten up a lot in that drama. Literally get kicked by a llama, I think, which is just ridiculous. But let's see that drama, how it's gonna work out. Zhao Liying, Psychological drama. Does she have one? She has one that's like a sister drama, like she's the unwanted second daughter of the family thing. Right, she has that. But that's a film, right? And then she has, what else? She just started a project, I think, not so long ago. It's a filming the film with Feng Xiaogang, isn't it? Yes. Of a former like prisoner who got released and then sort of building up a business with her like other inmates in the prison. That's a project she's doing now. Yeah. Oh, Zhang Ruoyun. Zhang Ruoyun is pretty good. I wouldn't say he's mediocre actually. I do find him. I feel like he's really, really clever, smart. But he might be thinking too much. How I would read him is he could overthink himself into trouble, but skill-wise as an actor, he's pretty well equipped. His line delivery is pretty good. And as long as he's not playing roles that's completely out of his reach and so not fitting, he should be okay. He is interestingly charismatic. Just the way he is, really. Some people are just meant for playing characters on camera and be in the business. I think he's one of those people. But if you're gonna say whether he's the best of the best out there, I probably wouldn't put it that way. But I do find him having his very unique, like let's say, for being an actor, it's not that important that you are the most good looking one, but it's important that you're super recognizable. In a way, so unique that you can't quite find another person who can be your easy replacement. I would say Zhang Ruoyun it's very hard to imagine who can replace him in any form. Even like physically looking similar or vibing similarly and like functionally. He actually is quite recognizable. So I think that's actually a really good thing for an actor. That comes first. That's probably the most valuable thing is like you are really unique and irreplaceable. It's like singing. If you have a voice that's instantly recognizable, there's never been a person who sounds remotely like you. It's better than having the best technique. And I think he's actually quite recognizable. So that's a really, really good thing. They're actors, you easily mix them up. And that's very unfortunate for all of them. Because that means they are not unique enough. The other day I was looking at a video somebody made on China's Bilibili talking about like literally just analyzing people's facial quality and saying who has better like for actors, right? What's the problem with them? So that face, right? When it ages, what can happen? And then it's actually really funny. I didn't realize that, but when they talked about it about tangents, I immediately see it really is, and I cannot unsee it. Okay. Listen to me, I really like tangents, but I found that observation really sharp and funny. Tangents is from south of China, Guangxi. So that region, like more southern region, has a couple of typical sort of facial features he has. He has an overall quite wide nostril, right? If you pay attention, like the way it actually flares. And then he has a very small mouth in comparison to the size of the nose and the eyes and all the other features on his face. He has a very gentle line on his, so he doesn't have angular, masculine, very strong bone structure. He has a very gentle, smooth line. For this type of small face and then small features, gentle line, first thing is he can never put on weight. if he gets any fatter, he immediately turns into auntie, which I'm like very accurate. When he was fatter a couple of years ago, when he was in those variety show before he came back to idol dramaland, right? Nobody would ever like think about him as an idol or fancy him in that way because he was fat at the time. He lost a lot of weight by dancing and taking the variety show, and since then kept his weight down. Therefore, he got aroused in the idol dramas such as Lost You Ever or Under the Skin. Had he still kept his sort of like 20 or 30 more pound body weight, he would not be held down. He would not get those roles to start with. So that's one thing he would have to basically, for the rest of his career in dramaland, if he still want to get leading roles, he will never be able to go back to that bigger body weight. He will have to stay skinny. And as time goes on, it's going to be harder and harder. It's a fact. As you age, keep your weight down will be harder and harder. So it means he's going to starve himself from now on till the day he decided to quit acting. Could be 10, 20, whatever years, but know that from now on, Tan Jianci is never going to have a full stomach, if that's worth having. It's very harsh, but that's number one, which is very accurate. Because there was a period when he did put on a lot of weight and he immediately had this, like his chin become like connected to his neck, and immediately that handsome pretty boy thing died. And he becomes auntie, and that's really problematic for small featured, not angular, big male bone structure actors. Second, he needs to constantly keep his skin and facial, like the soft tissue, tight. And as time goes on, that will need some technologies to help, not just losing weight. Because his bones are not very big, right? Like high cheekbones, high jaw bones, high like forehead to hold the skin and soft tissue up. As he ages, things will start to droop, and it will lose the jawline, and it will immediately just make him look not as attractive. For smaller features, softer angle, it's always the problem. So he will need to keep his skin really tight, and also has to constantly basically well groom, getting himself like hairstyle, dressed, skin clean, shaved, keep the upkeeping is expensive and needs to be done quite prettily. Because if he in any way start to grow stubs and then looking like, messy, and he will, if you put a mustache on him and make his skin not so perfect and young and pale, and he will immediately start to look like Yang Zhigang in Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty, particularly when he smiles. And I tell you, I never saw that, but when I first realized it really is like that, now I cannot unsee it. Whenever I see Tan Jianci smiles, and with the wrinkles like coming out here, and then like I can see the shadow of Yang Zhigang from Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty, Su Wuming. So if Tan Jianci doesn't keep up with his young pretty boy feature and look, if he in any way starts to get darker skin, more rough texture, sagging, and sort of overall older vibe, and the mustache, he's gonna look like Yang Zhigang. And honestly, it's like ever since I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, it's true. And now I cannot unsee it. And I'm constantly in my heart just like looking at Tan Jianci and like, don't slip into Yang Zhigang, don't slip into Yang Zhigang. And then I realized they're both dancers. They're actually professional dancers, both of them. And it just scared me even more. I'm like, don't become Yang Zhigang. Oh my god, oh my god. And it's like, oh my god. If he becomes Yang Zhigang, his idol dramaland career will end right there. Because I didn't realize that, but when I saw it, like when I first like actually realized it's true, now it's in my head. I cannot unsee it. I really see if he slips, he will turn into Yang Zhigang. I mean, an older, like a prettier version of Yang Zhigang who can also do splits. Oh my god. Sorry, people, I have ruined your filter on 檀健次. If you lose a lot of weight, your face never shrink. One thing is it could be young. Like you're young enough to have the collagen. Also, it could be you are naturally not the type of people who put on a lot of weight on your face. Even your body has a lot. That's genetic. I've seen, particularly I think in Caucasian people, it's more than Asian. Because Asian tend to put on weight everywhere. But I've seen a colleague and friends who have, you look at their face, you think they're tiny and skinny. And then you look at their bum. It's like twice as big as me. So, you know, if they lose weight, there's really no weight to lose on their face anyway, because it's all tight and tiny. No fat, but fat is all here. So if they lose that, it's not gonna change anything. But for Asians, right, rarely happens that way. Asians is just we grew. We put weight on everywhere. Hands, face, everywhere. Go and find 唐朝诡事录, Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty, the two male leads, the older guy with a mustache, the detective. If you go and find his younger pictures, Yang Zhigang when he was younger, he's actually really pretty. I mean, once you see it, oh my god. There was a time he was 小鲜肉 too, you know? You know, on the other hand, like guys who have bone structure, for example, like Yang Xuwen in Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty, the younger guy, the other leading actor, like with his type of facial feature, it's very hard for him to age. Because he, on the other hand, has extremely overly developed bone structure. Extremely high brow bone, high nose, cheek and jaw is like really, really angular and big bone. Like he has huge bones. So that all the things are gonna stay really tight on him as long as he doesn't abuse substance. He's gonna like look like that for the next 20 years at least. There's like no way he's gonna look old because his bones are too strong. It just like holds everything tight. Unfortunately, that's just how nature works. I'm trying to find a Yang Zhigang like 20-year-old photo. Okay, see what Yang Zhigang looks like and tell me if he looks like Jesus. Okay, I searched Yang Zhigang 年轻, literally means Yang Zhigang young. And the first thing that came out is a 新浪微博 post that says, when Yang Zhigang was young, didn't he look like 檀健次? Oh my god. Oh my god, heavens. Literally on Google, I just searched Yang Zhigang young. And it gave me a like, don't you think he looks like 檀健次? Well, no, it's not just me. It's Google. Google literally thinks like that. This is when he was younger, right? So, can you see the resemblance? I think you can. Like, I can tell. Like, they really have similar vibe. Small face. Slightly sort of pretty boyish look, particularly like the very flat, like in a way the middle of the face is slightly flat. That look. Okay, now you cannot unsee it. I have ruined it for you. Sorry about that. Yeah, 檀健次is prettier, sure. But I'm saying, if you can see the trend, right? So it's really gonna be very hard for 檀健次to, like I said in my video, one thing is keep acting as an idol actor in this type of pretty boy male lead character role. As he ages, it's gonna be harder and harder. And also, if he wants to jump out of this, say we're not gonna do pretty boy idol dramas anymore as I get older. We're gonna try to develop sort of another type of 转型, right? It's very hard. It will be a lot harder for him than the more masculine and taller actors. Like, where do you see the niche of a male actor who is mostly pretty and not tall, big statured, to say by middle age time start to shift to a type of like roles or career path that still makes him really relevant, right? I mean, if you voluntarily say I go back to the supporting role world as an older actor for younger actor, if I'm happy there, I mean, nothing can really say anything. But then say if you still want to be the top tier, where do you go? It's really hard to think about a workable niche, unfortunately, right? This is a very, very cruel business, cutthroat business. Hello from UK. It's evening your time. Yes, I agree, right? But like I said, the type of idol drama really does require you to have the sort of almost ideal kind of male fantasize because form. The other day I was looking at somebody's comment and I find it's really enlightening, which is talking about the lifespan, the lifespan of popular actor stars, like the top 流量 or 顶流. That's different from male, and that's different from men and women. In China, for example, dramaland, we specifically restrict that to dramaland, and then talking about the sheng and hua. Sheng is the from Beijing opera term, the guys, the male roles. Hua is flower, so all the women. And there's this observation you can see that's been played out in China over and over, which is for women. Once you climb to the top, it's actually really easy for you to stay relevant for a long time. The long time being in decades count, 1-2 decades. For guys, it's a lot harder. You may have 3 years top peak time of being top relevance, and then you disappear. A new generation of fresher young 小鲜肉 come out. They stay 3 years. So you always see the older flower paired up with continuous supply of newer sheng. And the women never change. They are, right now you look at Liu Yifei, Yang Mi, Tang Yan, Liu Shishi, Jing Tian. They all belong to the 80s flower. And they're all close to either already in 40s or close to 40s. And they've been hot for 2 decades. They still get constantly paired up with the most popular guy at the time. So for Yang Mi, it used to be, for example, Hu Ge, right? And then you have Chen Weiting, and you have all the different guys like Zhao Youting, just constantly coming in different age, but and then you have like Gong Jun, right? Whoever is the hottest right now, the new guy, the fresh meat comes in. And the flower is just standing there for 2 decades, not moving anywhere. They still have fandom draw. They still have popularity. They still look the same in a way. And then they're just there. And all the guys are like, you have a queen bee, and you have all the worker bees who dies in troves, comes in, dies, comes in. Next generation comes in, dies, comes in, dies. And it's been working like that in Chinese dramaland for the last 2 decades. And it's so true. Now you think about it. The guys have gone through so many generations of popularity and die out, disappear, and come new one. Think about from, like Hu Ge is like a middle-aged, like serious drama actor now. He no longer does any idol thing, but he used to be an idol actor. And then you have people like the Korean coming back idols like Lu Han. you have Li Yifeng. Now Lu Han is like almost disappearing from acting. Li Yifeng got cancelled. Wu Yifan got cancelled, unfortunately. And then from last couple of years, you have the young popular actors who came out of other, like Deng Gai, right? Deng Gai is slightly different. But then they also still get paired up with older flowers, right? Think about Wang Yibo when he gets paired up with Zhao Liying. He's the fresh meat and she is the older flower. Always having that thing happening. I mean, even when you think about Xiao Zhan and Yang Zi pairing, that's the same sort of like, even Li Xian and Yang Zi pairing, you can read it that way. So you can almost say it's always kind of like the flower is just that couple of people, they've been there for a decade or two. And then younger guys just keeps coming in. And then, Gong Jun, right? Like, so obvious. And then Gong Jun is quickly losing his heat since Zhang Helin because he doesn't have another good work after that coming out. So he's becoming less and less sort of like graded down. And then the flowers have been just like, breathe, easy. I mean, even Liu Shishi, who's been around for a long time, disappeared for a while, comes back, she still gets paired up with younger guys. Like Liu Yining, and then Dou Xiao. And so you see that really interesting sort of phenomenon of we only need a handful of veteran flowers and then endless supply of fresh little fresh meat. And it's been like that. And this phenomena has been going on for the last 2 decades in Chinese dramaland, and people were like, why? Well, it's actually perfectly explaining the demographics of drama watcher, because 70% of drama watchers are women. And most of that is made up with straight women, okay? The thing is, minority is really a minority. So majority of drama watchers are straight women. And so they have very different ideas about their preference of male and female. For female, straight women looking to more successful, prettier women as model, inspiration. And in many ways, you either identify with their quality or you want to be one. So as long as that person doesn't disappoint you in their career path, like a lot of women are actually career fan of their female idols because they want to see their 姐姐 becoming even more famous, getting more money, like bigger awards. And they're very, sort of like making them as their role model or their like career model or whatever, even like looks, right? So when you think about another person as a more ideal form of yourself, it is, you don't really change your love of them that easily unless they greatly disappoint you or you have suddenly completely switched your ideal about who you want to be, which can happen but wouldn't be that often, and it usually is not abrupt. As you get older, you'll have a different idea about yourself and what you want in your life, but overall, so overnight, you just turn into another person and aspire to other things. It's unlikely to happen, which causes all those women who got popularity when they're younger have a long-lasting, sustainable, sort of following them for decades fandom. So as they age, those fans also age with them, but they don't change because they function as the lighthouse for the ideal projection for those people. As long as they stay pretty well, like Liu Shishi gets, like, oh, 姐姐 so pretty. She's like close to like 40 and she still looks like she's 20-year-old. I mean, that could become sort of the ideal form. So therefore, their fans are very stable. That causes them to still have the relevance, popularity, ability to generate public discussion about them and making them basically still staying on top and getting roles because they can call in viewership and all that. On the other hand, for the guys, because majority of watchers are female, straight female, then when they look at guys, they look at it as potential sexual partners, right? And then you become a lot more pickier. If this guy get fat, If this guy gets like scandals of whatever, like your sort of that kind of biological sort of animal sense of picking ideal partner. If you in any way makes me feel you're no longer worth my full attention, or you no longer can satisfy my desire, and in sort of the whole mating thing of human nature, there's never an sort of like fulfillment of that. Like you always see a better one. Is there a sweeter fruit? Like this is a good fruit, but then maybe that one is even better, right? You're always looking for, like, that human nature is the same thing. Like guys are always looking for prettier, younger women, and women actually, oh, that guy is hotter. So now I forgot about you because he's got 8 packs, you've got 6. So because of that, female audiences tend to easily regenerate and wash away their sort of like previously, like you're on the tip of my heart for 3 months, and I move on to the next target, a paqiang, right? Climbing over the wall. So you climb over the wall, you find another one. You climb over the wall, you find another one. It never ends because you have actually totally different psychological projections and need for the male and the female. Therefore, because of majority of audiences have this type of psychology, the girls, the famous ladies in dramaland can stay relevant for much, much longer, 3, 4, 5 times than the guys. The guys are like literally, think about you are the emperor and you have unlimited supply of harem. Then you're always going to be looking for the next pretty young woman. So now you switch our roles, like it's female drama audiences. You look at all the guys, they are your harem. And you're like, yeah, but that guy, younger, prettier, I'm going to pick them. So that causes the relevance and sustainable sort of like fandom or popularity of a guy in dramaland in China, right? A lot shorter, no matter how hard they try. Because the audience's size and demographics determines their relevance. Unless you can make all Chinese women, right? Like just overnight turn into gay, that might be a different story. But before that happens, 姐姐事业粉 and 女友粉, like for guys, it's gonna be like that. I'm like, oh, actually, it's pretty pretty correct. Cannot argue with that. Because guys and girls, right? They really completely serve your different needs as the mirror or whatever, like the screen to project your ideas about yourself on. And so, for guys, therefore, if they are really clever as actors in China, once they get hot by becoming similar to, if they do the idol route, which is like a lot of girls watch their drama and like them, once they get hot, they try to maximize the gain within the 3 years window, and they will try to ideally divert to not being an idol anymore. And that will, so moving on to the serious actor route, because they know if they stay on idol and it's not gonna keep yielding as high, it's gonna drop quite fast. The curve is like, boom, it's gonna go like that. So if they're clever enough, they will try to say, now I'm popular, I'll give it 3 years time and then I need to immediately divert. I will now be considered as a serious actor so that I get industry's recognition. I can move on to not relying on girl fans, but having a bigger, wider audiences, moving more towards the nationally known, like parents, grandfather, kids, everybody knows me, so that I can stay relevant. In that sense, Zhu Yilong is the luckiest and the one who managed to do it in recent years, as you can observe, most successful actor, who has been actor for 10 years, didn't really got very noticed until boom, a BL drama that is purely women, 95% women audiences, right? Watching it. And he knows now he becomes the, the girl fans sort of like, and for the beginning, you cannot fully yet turn, but he immediately sit down and decided to move away from dramaland, moving to cinema, taking more serious, maybe not yielding big fandom, popularity, romantic, like any of the, but he intentionally moved to sort of signal that I want to be a serious actor, so that I'm gonna use the popularity I gathered and then change my direction so that I can stay relevant for long. If I don't do that, I stay in idol drama. Imagine after Guardian 2018 to now, it's already 6 years. Imagine if he didn't do the film jump. He's still in the business, in idol dramaland, competing with Xiao Zhan, Wang Yibo, later Gong Jun, later like whoever is gonna come out, Wang Hedi, right? It's not gonna be a pretty picture. Because he's moving towards 40 years old. You can't age backward. And in that sense, like he's the most successful person who managed to do this. Either he is really highly aware of how this works, or his team is really, really clear-headed about this. So they like successfully sort of used this to propel sort of a perfect choice that he can make at the point of his success. So in that sense, he's the most successful one so far. Interesting, isn't it? And the people who did manage to do the switch, either they're not aware of this, or they lack ability and resource to do that, for whatever reason, they will become irrelevant very quickly. Gong Jun, yeah, definitely is one. Like this year, Gong Jun is pretty much already proven that. I mean, he's had his time. I mean, it's those 2-3 years are good, So you can't complain. A lot of people spend their whole lifetime and not even getting one moment of that. So, but it's at the end now. You can clearly see that the filter on him as his role in Shanghe is completely worn off now, and I think to him it probably comes down to lack of ability. He actually is not so suitable to be an actor. He has too many restrictions of being an actor. Acting is just he's not meant to do it, in that way. He's like perfectly made for the business. But at least he had his time, A lot of those idols who got hot for like a couple of years, most of them, I'd say, are not really that talented in acting. Let's be honest. Let's be honest, right? Even there are people like I don't have any problems with, or I actually like them quite a lot. I would have to say, yeah, but you weren't born with it, basically. Xu Chuxiao is not an idol, right? When you think about it, you wouldn't categorize. I'm talking about like the more idol actors. Like he never is. He never started with that. He's just a little bit like in life. He made too many dramas in his own private life that made basically him not preferred, right? For quite a bit of time. Like people just don't want to cast him in case they get themselves into trouble. But as it goes on, as long as you don't get canceled, you don't do something illegal in China that's like permanently cancels you. As time goes on, he is a pretty actor, so wouldn't be so much of a problem for him, because he's not gonna be the type of like I attract you into like by being an idol and good looking and all that. He's probably an actor, he can play the roles that are a little bit more complicated. Therefore, he's never been viewed as an idol anyway. He's just young, right, at the time when he first started, but he's not an idol, so it's a different thing. always agree with the thing somebody said, that nobody watches idol drama for good acting. You know, it used to be any type of drama, detective drama, idol drama, whatever, proper drama, is like everybody is at least qualified to an extent until it changed, right? But idol drama, you know, the thing with idol drama is, yes, you can be not so good at acting, but as long as you're presentable and you can serve as that sort of like fantasy, you know, like target for female audiences, it's fine. But then the thing is, if you're actually good at acting, that would just like 1,000 times the effect. And single-handedly change the quality of the story. Think about like Queen of Tears, you know, absolutely tropey, most like cramming all the tropes that ever existed in human drama history. And yet, because the actors are actually actors, it got sold, even though it's so unrealistic. Yet it's like, oh my god, it's so good. You know, so it makes that quality quantum jump. If you happen to be fitting the idol standard, and then you're actually a pretty good actor, you're unbeatable. It's like atomic weapon, right? You get professional recognition, but at the same time, money come my way, money come my way. Unbelievable benefit you can get from that. So it is still important. It's like the type of importance of like making 1 million and making 10 millions out of the same thing. Xu Zhengxi. Yeah, unfortunately he quit. Maybe he just had too much. Then I would understand actually for actors to get so tired they want to quit Chinese dramaland, because say like Xu Zhengxi, he always gets the same type of period drama characters in all the period dramas he's done, and it's just one after another. It's the same thing, different names, different sets, different people, not that different of a character and story. And think about that, right? If imagine every day you wake up, you are in Hengdian Hotel. You've been living like that for 5 years. Apart from a couple of holidays break you have every year, you're at home or somewhere traveling. You wake up in 3 different hotels and they rotate. And you know every maid, every front desk manager, every refectory restaurant cook that's there in Hengdian. You know which barbecue place has the best night barbecue in Hengdian. You know which shop has the best barber, because you've lived there for 5 years. Now, Hengdian is a town city. It's not huge, it's not poor, but it's not that engaging. And because you're filming a drama, you are not really free to go anywhere all the time. Sometimes if you're filming 2 dramas back to back, you have half a year lockdown in a poor, like, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's like not the best places. And then every day you have the glue attaching to your face that may irritate you for 12 hours. You have a fake hair on your head when it's summer 38 degrees and you itch inside your scalp, but you cannot reach it because you have a fake hair on top. You have 10 layers of costume. You need to look cool standing there as the god of whatever. And you've lived like that every day for 5 years. I mean, yes, it's not all the time, but it's like every time it starts, it rolls for 3 months. And it could be cold winter. It could be hot summer. And every day you're just like, once it's cut, right, you look at the view in front of you. Like 30 people are moving the sets to the next thing. These people are cable bashing. All the other workers who are touching up your makeup comes up to you, brushing your hair, doing that. Everybody looks miserable because they're all baking under the sun. Everybody stinks. The wind machines start to blow in your face. Fake snow made of fertilizers drop on your face. Middle of the night, you have to go and shoot, and there are mosquitoes surrounding you. And even if you are popular, you get a lot of money, and after a drama promotion, you go to those posh places and whatever, like banquets and stuff, and talk to fans, and then you go back to get eaten by mosquitoes in the mountain again for 3 months. And if you keep living like that, right, even if you have a lot of money and you live like that for 5 years, and during the time you're basically doing the same thing every day, and I tell you, right, on a shooting crew, these days you have internet, maybe you can just scroll your social media and then not get bothered. But let's still say you still every day live with all the other people on the crew. I tell you what happens on crew, which is the topics people talk about when they're chit-chatting, when they're waiting for sets to change, the people you communicate every day, what you can talk about, or having any forms of like human contact, are so boring. Like, people don't have anything to talk about on a drama crew. I tell you that because I've lived there. I know. They talk about, oh, that's the most popular brand recently. Oh, did you see that duck? It's like talking like human. So funny. This is the most popular supplement you should be eating. Supposedly it can make you this. Don't eat that. Oh, this is like a really good skin whatever. Like, use this. This mask is good. Or like it's absolutely boring to live on a crew because nobody ever in any way provides any interesting information to you. Like, you chat with people about food. I mean, sometimes guys get together, talk about dirty jokes. You talk about the most meaningless, superficial, shallow things that exist. And it's day in and day out, years after year. If you are in any way a sensitive and any way a person who, apart from feeding yourself and getting fame or whatever, you want a meaningful existence, you want things to sort of like move a little bit beyond existing physically, then inevitably at some point you're gonna like, this is shit. What's the meaning of doing any of this anymore? Right? I would so understand him coming out and say that because I know what it's like. Particularly like those dramas, like period dramas, which he's mostly in. Honestly, tell me, which script he's been in recent years that has any meaning behind it at all? Like, making him feel, oh, this is actually worth making. I'm making something that's like drama making actually has in any way meaning. Like, no, nothing, completely no. And I so understand him. Like shooting drama and being a 横店常住, which is like living in 横店 constantly, or all the permanently sort of like living in the hotel. It's not a good life. Like, I was traveling there for 3 days, which is fun, go around looking at it. But if you tell me stay there for 3 months, I'm gonna, oh my God, this is so bad, right? And it's like, stay there for 3 years. I'm like, I give you money, right, to let me get out of this. It's like the way that the whole thing gets made is a lot more. So the actual people who are taking part in making the dramas, working their day every day as their job, actually has very little fun, and it's extremely repetitive and boring. It's extremely repetitive and boring. So like, I've worked on sets like drama making, and I don't be enjoying it at all. You sometimes see like special feature videos. It makes it look so fun. It makes it look so interesting working on a drama set. It's definitely something because you don't do, therefore you find it's refreshing. But if you are actually working there every day, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, don't go to sleep until 12, suffering all types of like weird things, like if you're shooting within an enclosed studio, like those sets that's like in an enclosed studio that has like ceiling lights, and then you have built like grass, a patch of like garden, you have a house, you have like a hut, like those type of sets. It look pretty, right? I guarantee you the space within it stinks. And so if you're staying there for 12 hours a day, you're smelling it every second. It's almost like it's like a form of torture. And the reason it stinks is because it's just refurbished with paints, with a lot of like chemicals, And then they make fake grass or real grass that needs to be like changed, right? Topsoil and whatever like they do. And those things, because they're not in an open space, they don't get aerated. And when you walk into it, you smell rotten grass, you smell paint, you smell all types of unbelievably weird things. And it's all in the space, enclosed in the studio for the period of time that a set is there. So as long as you walk in, you know that for the hours you're going to stay in there today, not even 1 second can you run away from the stench in the space. And you're going to just, that's your job. It's really hard because I've tried those things and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm going to die here. Die of the heat stroke, die of the stinky space, die of the constant, like aimless waiting. Because for a shoot on set, there's another thing that people who haven't never done it don't know how absolutely excruciating it is, which is you may just be there standing there waiting for hours and nothing happens because the light needs to be adjusted. Next scene needs a wire work, things need to move here and there, but you cannot go away because it's your job and you're just like there. I mean, these days you have social media, maybe it's better, but still, you're like just like today we actually only shot about 40 minutes footage in the camera, but then we've been on set for 16 hours. And apart from those 14 minutes when the camera is rolling, everything else is just been waiting to happen. Like you have to have the patience of a saint to do that. Imagine the like against the natural weather, early hour, no break days, all types of like physical pain that you have to suffer and boringness, and if you like intelligent, engaging conversation, I tell you, it's never gonna happen on a film set. Everybody you're gonna come across are just like, unfortunately, it's just how that works in China. Okay, I don't know other countries, I don't know, but you don't get like really engaging conversation. Like you don't get a lot of master and PhD people, you know, like sitting there and waiting for the light to get ready or whatever. And literally people just talk about sex and food and makeup probably and popular memes and jokes when you're waiting for things to happen. No other things. Like the guys just like come together and then, yeah, if you listen to their jokes, you probably throw up. Like that's just the normal standard of drama making. And in China, it's like that. I don't know other places, but it's not very fun. Okay, so imagine you have to do it years. If you suddenly decided, to hell with all this is not a life worth living, right? I'd rather go into a mountain and find a temple and sit there for 3 months, not talking to anybody, than do this. You very well like may actually like to quit. You deal about talking about sex. Yeah, think about that. You talk about it for like a month every day. You don't have other things to do. It's yeah. And the other things would be, yeah, it's physically really painful. If you remember my Hengdian video last year when I was like soaking, so sweating, like I have like salt mark on my shirt because it was that bad. If you're working on a set during summer, that's your daily life. Every day you end up looking like that on a set. Now, if not actor, right? Actors, they're dressed up in costumes, so they're having it worse. But if you're just like makeup artist, you're touching up, or you're a gaffer, you're whatever, just labor on set, moving things around, you look like you're in mud and dust all the time. You look horrible. You're covered in all types of like things, and you're working. You're a laborer. You literally are always dressed in almost like a construction worker all the time, and you're covered in dust, and your waist has this belt that has all the tools hanging on there, and you're like in baking sun, and obviously you always eat those like 盒饭, right? Those delivered food, and 盒饭 is another thing. Oh my God. Because usually for a crew, when they decided to shoot a drama for 3 months in a place, they would already organize a cook or chef offsite somewhere who would supply them food for like a contract, how many. So for that period of time, you pretty much just get food from this one place all the time. And very soon, you'll know which place it is from Hengdian, because every different cook will provide a, like, you know, like they use the same oil to fry the same thing. So they will taste with this sort of identical taste. And it will always be tasting like that. And you're going to eat it for 3 months. Now, they're going to change dishes from day to day sometimes. But then it's still going to smell the same way because they use the same oil and same way and same thing to cook it. I remember so distinctively when I was on a crew, because I don't know what they're using, but I don't like the scent, the smell of that oil that they fry everything in. Is after a few days, I literally start to smell like the cooking oil that food is smelling like. So like I walk around and I feel like my hair smells like that. It's like every pore of my body smells like that, and it's so unpleasant. And I'm like, I can't eat this for like the next 3 months every day. I'm gonna just like go crazy. So every time when the food comes in, I go and grab a bowl of like boiling hot water, and then I dip all the food they delivered and I wash them. I've done it. Like I wash it in the hot, like boiling water to get rid of all the flavor and oil. Yes, it's not gonna make it taste that much, but then it gets rid of the oil so that I don't feel like I stink with the cooking oil of that particular food delivery place. Like those things, if you never tried it, you can't quite imagine. But when it happens, it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna eat this food for 3 months on crew. Kill me. So I'm just saying the actual logistics and the sort of on the ground working of drama making is not very pleasant for anybody. For the stars, it will be easier for them. Sometimes they have trailer, they have AC, but then they would be bearing the hair and the fake glue and 10 layers of costume constantly, and they have to perform, right? So that's another thing. But for everybody who basically get involved in drama making, it's always really, really, really hard. If then at the same time you're feeling what you're making is just, it is not anything that you are in any way sort of like feeling it's a thing worth doing, right? It has sort of slightly a bit meaning beyond the fact that it pays the bill, then how long can you last, right? For how many years before you say I give up? I know when I was working, I had really close relationship with the costume department and makeup department, and I met those really hardworking ladies who were like from dawn to dusk, turning on laundry machine, ironing things out, fixing broken things, and taking care of like hundreds of costumes. And they are unbelievably heavy because it's period costume, and you have to move around multiple characters' costumes constantly. So those girls are like super strong, and their room is always filled with laundry detergent smell and all that. And I'm like, how long have you been working in this? And they're like, I talked to them and they were like, yeah, I'm gonna finish this one, I have another one, after that I'm going back to my village and get married. I'm done with this. And she's like, I've made enough money, I've worked on this for that many years. And yeah, so a lot of people wouldn't be in the industry for very long if they're actually working the very laborious and actually, you know, like jobs. They're in for a couple of years, maybe get a bit of money and experience and whatever, and then they try to move up the ladder, becoming more important, like management or like costume like lead designer, so they don't actually have to physically go do the hard work. Or even like they were just like, I've had enough, I'm going back to my village and probably just like taking care of farmland instead of working as yeah, like I met so many people like that. And say we're doing it for like 1 or 2 more shows, and then we're getting out of this. So overall, it's not that pleasant an industry. It's very volatile. It's extremely underregulated still till today. That's why I say Chinese drama making is very not industrialized, not streamlined, not well planned, or sort of like there's no safety net. It's like, well, their insurance, who's paying that? If they lose their job or any of that, no, it's completely just like on itself. Like all those people get work from reference. I'm on this crew making this drama. I'm a costume maker, whatever, and then during the making of the drama, I hear the director saying he's on another job, and if I get a good relationship with this person and he's satisfied with my job, he takes me to the next job, and they hop from job to job, crew to crew, and they get paid with, on the job, how many months or whatever, like one sort of like one payment. And if they want to pay insurance of any type, of retirement, like they have to do it themselves. They have to go and do it. Like there's never any sort of like safety guarantee or anything. And there's definitely no like law about working hours, like overtime. No, because if you're on crew, you're always on crew. Every moment is overtime, basically, because you're 24/7. Supposedly, if something happens, you need to be there. And shooting dramas is like, we need to get night shoot so that, like you're not gonna sleep tonight. Like, how do you count overtime? It's almost impossible. There's no weekends, hardly any holidays. And whenever you need to get up at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever, you just need to get up. So the type of work a couple of years, if you can earn some money, you probably quit. Because if you continue, you're gonna die. It's like that cruel. And in many ways, unsafe and inhumane. Right? Drama making is like that. In China. Okay, I'm not saying other places. I don't know, somehow I started to talk about so much of this. So, give you an idea about how actually unattractive drama making really is when it comes down to the practice of it. Hasn't really been well sort of like planned and figured and improved upon since I left it. In the last 15 years, really very little improvement has happened. You're not even like dreaming about having any form of union or representation of people who work in an industry that gets like a good safety, whatever guarantee of like paying. No. It's just, there are too many people. If you don't work, other people will come in and take the job. So, it's very hard. I'm just saying. So, knowing that much, I'm not surprised that Xu Zhengxi just quit. Like, I'm not doing it anymore, and it's not worth doing it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Well, idols have weird, like also very demanding working hours. But the thing is, other people will have exactly and even worse working hours and get 1/10 or 100th of their pay on crew, and in drama making world at least. So if you're talking about fairness, there are always people who are suffering far worse and getting far less paid and never get heard of. Like, you don't hear them. If an idol, like for example, if an actor is coming in at 5 o'clock getting makeup done and their first shot is 7 o'clock, the makeup people got up at 3 to prepare the wig and stuff. So, and they get what? They get like 100, like 100, even less of pay of what idols can get. And they never get noticed, and they never get anything that comes with like fame or yeah. And they're literally just like worker bee. So they pretty much suffer everything the idols would suffer, apart from, let's say, they're not dressed in 10 layers. But then they will have like tougher hours. Also, like, like when somebody finished shooting they go on trailer, they get home. For the people who work on the set, they have to clean up everything. They have to box the camera, cable bashing, sweep the floor, get ready for... The worst part is they have to get ready for tomorrow. Because I know the costume department is just... They have multiple people on shift, and they row, and they practically don't stop anything. Because 4 a.m., we finished the night shoot, the actors left, dirty clothing come down, like you have to wash it now. because you need to dry it. And then tomorrow, maybe you have a second set, but still you need to dry it, iron it out, get it ready. If it got dirty, we have to clean it so that tomorrow we can keep shooting. So the job is finished for the actor, but for the crew, it's like, we just started working. So the laundry room of a drama making crew is never quiet. It's 24 hours washing and drying and washing and drying. It always smells like laundry detergent whenever you go there. And there's always somebody there. Because it's literally that much work. There's like no stop. Oh, and for makeup is also very, very hard, more than you imagine, because actually there constantly needs to be like the wig person knitting the wig, because wig gets damaged, something needs to be fit, and it's extremely time consuming. It's all handmade. So there's always two people when you go to the makeup department room. There's always somebody sitting there holding a wooden head with a net on top of it, and just like, as the drama is making, like in production, that person, like there always are some people in the background just like wigging. It's just like making wig. We're making a wig. It never stops. And the amount of work, I'm like, oh my god, you have to put the hair like in strand by strand. And they literally do that, because if you have a multiple leading actor drama, they all are long-haired guys, and you just like a row of guys sitting there just like dink. You just see them knitting the wig, and yeah, it's like a never ending. It's so crazy. If they get very little sleep, and most people on crew is. If it's too time consuming and too demanding, they probably have people on shift. So you take care of like this hour to that hour, you go to sleep, I do it, the rest. But often, actually, it's very common. And if you think like for people to actually not get much sleep during the shoot, for directors, it's even funnier. Is you think directors will have it easier because he's just talking, right? Do this, do that, and then it's done. No. So when it's for one day is we're a wrap. First is they probably need to look at the footage they've just gotten. Now everything is digital, so they can actually look. And usually you would do that because you want to make sure that shot actually is right. You don't have a out of focus. You don't have a hair in your like. So you have to go through the footage. That takes time. Go back to your hotel and you actually watch it with your cinematographer. And then you have to plan tomorrow. Because of this, we initially planned for this scene, but the next actor cannot come. That has happened. We'll have to move this. By moving that, we have to call this extra in. They have to plan that. So that's gonna take hours. And once you have all that down, it's already like 4 hours later, and you have 2 hours left to sleep. So what I know about those directors is often you see Chinese drama directors. It's really funny. During the shoot, they are literally not IVing themselves, but they're literally on constant supply of Chinese medicine. It's so common that you get a Chinese sort of like doctor coming, like they're just designing things to boost you so that you don't crash and die. And then they go away, they brew the ready-made Chinese medicine that's like sealed in a plastic bag, and then they ship it. Like once they finish, like this is your whole week's supply or 3 days supply, and they come to the crew with like this whole sort of like bags of piled up like medicine, and you have to drink this 3 times a day with your meal. So this 3 is for today. So it give you 9 for 3 days, and I go back to brew more, and I'll come back. And they just give you Chinese medicine, and the director literally would be like sitting in front of the monitor and sucking on his Chinese medicine. So many Chinese directors do that because those medicines, I don't know what's in them, but it kind of is like make sure you don't die of a heart attack, whatever on set, and still like can keep your eyes open. You know, like ready-made Chinese medicine that's brewed. It's like a dark green, sometimes like a dark milky gray liquid stinks, and it's like you just cut it open and drink it, like a bagged milk or something. And so many directors have that. I'm not saying everybody, but if you're super healthy and robust, that's cool. A lot of people still, they do get a lot of medicine help to make sure that they actually manage to stay alive throughout the shoot. No, it's not gonna be like, it's definitely not illegal drugs, but Chinese medicine is made of a lot of dried plants and stuff, right? So a lot of that has natural sort of whatever ingredient for whatever purposes. They're not athletes, you know, and it's definitely not drug in any sense of like marijuana or I don't know, like cocaine, no, but it's natural medicine, and it would function in certain ways that to just make sure that you can still function. I've seen multiple directors have that. I mean, I've even like warmed up things for the director. I think cut it open, put it in a cup, and then microwave it so it's hot. They all just like it's crazy, this industry. So in China, drama making is just like making it as unhealthy as possible so that we can finish everything. That's why dramas in China gets finished shooting in 2 months, 3 months. Normal. And if you look like the same size drama in like SK, for example, it's like half a year, 8 months, a year, right, to shoot one drama. In China, it's done in 3. Like, how do you think it gets? Because it's living in the same 3-dimensional space, restricted by the same kind of physical rules. So, imagine how you could make it happen within 3 months. Which is don't follow 8-hour work day, don't have weekends, right? And have like multiple team, A crew, B crew, 3. Like some dramas have 3 C crew shooting at the same time. And overwork everybody and try to basically get the last bit of like whatever juice squeezed out of every worker so that you can finish shooting something that in other countries take a year to do, like in 3 months. That's how it's done in China. Should make all the capitalists so excited in this world. Oh, that's a great way of exploiting human resource. Korean dramas shoot as they air, not always, right? It depends. There are shoot as there are finished shooting and then air. There are almost finished shooting and start to air first episode. So by the time you get to like the last episodes, it's long finished shooting. You have different versions. It's not always, K-drama is not always so sort of like for sure it's gonna be this. But still, they take a relatively longer time. And I mean, the work hours is not as ridiculous. Chinese dramaland does not stop. There's no off hour. If you're on crew, you're like, even when you're like finished shooting today, you're just like, you had a shower in your hotel room, director gives you a call, he's like, oh, we need to get this done. You know, you just immediately go and do it. It's like, once you're in there, the whole sort of 3 months time, every minute of it is like, can happen, be your work hour. Yeah, I've said a lot today, so. We actually kept talking about dramas, didn't talk about anything else. And I'm gonna end this in about 10 minutes. Thank you for coming in to this live stream. It's August, but we're talking about July. And then for the last bit of this live stream, I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy in this world right now. It's crazy. Every day it's like, oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God, this is happening. If I wake up tomorrow and the world is not here, am I gonna get surprised? How did it become like that? I mean, it's always pretty much like this. But then it just gets, I guess, these days it's just, like a long time ago, there's no individual commercial sort of like company. It's all like provincial television stations doing it. So it's always the employees of the television stations doing productions. So they're still under sort of salary, normal working hours. So That's a long time ago. It's like 90s, even 80s. But then once it become commercialized, individual production companies doing it and then selling it to television stations, then it becomes different. Obviously, you want to be quick, right? Turnaround kind of thing. Then things start to get a bit weird. Yeah, true. Labor rights is not very strong. That's really, there's law, but often people just disregard it, and we hope that could change in the future. But you have to take baby steps in many ways. There's nothing you can do about that. Is there anything ongoing right now? I think Olympic Games today should be pretty much done now. Do they do any evening competitions? Right now it should be like evening now. In Paris. The Paris opening is so weird. Oh my god. I mean, even as I'm not Christian, as a Chinese person who's not really sort of brought up in any sort of Christian culture. It's not part of my language or any culture like sort of upbringing anything. But I know enough to look at the opening ceremony and go, for international, global kind of like huge event like this, you don't get bigger than Olympic Games. And what the heck is going on? It's baffling. It's just it's not just like the quality is very under control. Like even if you just look at, say, if you don't talk about all the politics and religion and all those things, right? The woke, whatever. Even if you just look, okay, it's a performance of people walking on T, like fashion. Like, is it well shot, well done? You know, people playing music instrument, people dancing. Like, it's not even like people are just like doing it, whatever. Like, they're not even okay. It's like there's no rehearsal, and everybody just randomly drops in and do things, and it's like all out of place, and they flip the flag and they just also, like, there's one thing that I can't watch, and I find it so infuriating, is they literally let ring on those instruments, like the pianos, multiple pianos on fire, drenched in rain. Again, for instrument owner, okay, I just like, my head explode. For whatever reason, right, you're literally on camera destroying those expensive instruments. I'm like, have you ever thought about the tree that died to make this piano? Have you ever thought about the craftsman who spent hours just making this piano, and you just put it in the ring? What the heck are you doing? That's just, it's disrespectful, not just to the people who made it, but it's disrespectful to nature, to resources. You know, it's like that tree that got cut down to make that piano. It's never gonna come back. and it's like, you do that, it's toasted. It's gonna have mushrooms growing out of it, and it's I was so shocked. Like, people allow that to happen. And then then we, like, the Last Supper, the revealing body parts, the like the beard, man, woman, and whatever. And then people talk about other things, or conspiracy theories about, oh, that's like the nights of whatever, like apocalypse, however. And I'm like, 元素过多. There are too many elements, and they're just like in your face, and it's so disorganized. And I mean, I see internet, like in China, joke about, oh my god, the heaven finds it so eye-hurting that it starts to rain, trying to wash it away. Like, whatever. I never imagined opening ceremony of Olympic Games can get this, but Marie Antoinette, and it's multiple. It's not just one, right? There's a row of Antoinettes standing there, like, I guess like it just, I don't know, the message, like what message do you try to send? You know, usually Olympic Games just stand for, you know, like faster, stronger, all that thing, and peace and humanity coming together, sportsmanship. It's celebrating those things that try to just take out religion, take out politics, take out all that, just looking at everybody as humans, right? It's like one international event people manage to like still have on this planet when at the same time everybody is killing everyone. And then like what are you trying to do with all that? I don't think most French people would be very happy about this opening ceremony, honestly speaking. Right? If I were French, I'd be really embarrassed. Normal people wouldn't really find this well done, and it just feels like it. Paris is like so not ready to the point where it's just like, okay, whatever. we just like, let's just roll the camera and let it go, whatever happens, you know, let the atoms fall, and what's the worst that can happen, you know? Just, since we're already at this point, it's like there's not that much we can do now, so just like, yeah, whatever. Now that's one thing that happened at the end of July that got like, I think, yeah, the real world is so exciting that you forgot to think about dramaland. LA, I have no idea. Right, next is the United States. For United States, I think first thing is to get through this year, because you have November coming up, and what's gonna happen from now to November? It's still 3 months to go. Nobody knows. It looks like anything can happen. And never happened before like this. So like, you can't even refer it to anything, right? It's just like, okay. I think the whole world is just sitting there and eating melons. Right, and for you people in the States, it's just like, oh god, like what kind of mess we're in. But then for everybody else on the outside, we're all just like potential huge dramas. Let's just keep watching. So like, let's get through that first, and then think about Olympic Games. Because I mean, at worst, we can just not have one. Who cares? I mean, the Tokyo one got delayed for a year. And it's not like the world stopped. It stopped at all, you know. At the end of the day, if things happen, you know, you can't just like always. So when you think about the world, it's like that, right? Again, you know, dramaland is like, no matter how much drama is in dramaland, it's still just dramaland. It's nothing compared to the craziness that we have in the world. We have wars, we have like, now you have Middle East in a new sort of like a mess after that assassination, and it's like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? It's like already really, really bad situation gets even worse, and so I'm gonna stop this in a few minutes. And if, oh, good morning, really? Somebody is already in the morning. Or at noon here. So some people should be late evening, some people should be already August the 5th. I think the whole aliens will want to conquer you type of concept is depending on where does this like comes from, right? Because I'm pretty sure there are plenty of civilizations. But the thing is, for them to conquer you, you have to think logically that you would have to have something that they really want and they don't have. So they will take the trouble to actually conquer a different planet, because coming from a different planet to conquer the new planet, imagine the type of logistics that needs to go into that, right? So they have to spend whatever they need to conquer you that's worth the while, so that what they spend is a lot less than what they are going to gain. And the thing is, you don't know alien civilizations, what they need. It could be not something that you, like, human think as resources, right? And then they may need completely. So you're thinking, sort of still in the human thinking about, so you want this resource, that resource, whatever. But what if they exist in a completely different form or environment that what's valuable to humans, or what we think is like worth conquering, to them is like, they can't even use it. So why would they come? And how do you know like other life forms would in any way sort of like, even when they can space travel, would thinking about conquering is anything that benefit them? If they get to the point of like technology, to the point that they can easily travel, like to Earth and do whatever, they probably are way beyond, right? To the point where like, what's the point of conquering? Like, it's not gonna benefit them. They figured it out. Like, they probably can harvest whatever they want, like a solar, whatever, like a star or energy. Like, they have no problem of what a tiny planet can have, right? That would be meaningful, like, or worth the while for them to do. If they can easily say, like, with the whatever travel to, and beat our technology by thousands of years, and easily travel to Earth and just to take a look at, what's going on with those little, apes. Why would they want to conquer you, right? What you can valuable could be possibly valuable to provide them that they want. If they can travel, they probably have already figured everything out. They don't need you. They probably will more be like interesting, like you guys watching dramas. They come to Earth to see, human dramas. Let's see how interesting they're thinking that way, or they're doing that type of things. It would be more sort of like in the form of observing zoo animals. Like, you don't think of going to there and just take a bite on an antelope. You're just like, oh, they're interesting, they're mating. I think it would provide more entertainment value probably for aliens than anything else. Longer dramas. Well, they can just make it into 2 seasons. But sometimes, for those long dramas, 50, 70, 10 miles. Honestly, these days when you think about 10 miles, it really also doesn't need to be that long. I'm just saying. It's like putting so many people's story into one. And if you're only focusing on Bai Qian and Ye Hua, you really don't need Di Jun and Feng Jiu in it. You can split it into 2 dramas. Well, from Malaysia, you're on Asia. Yeah, definitely. Go to sleep. It's Monday. Oh yeah, you're watching. Okay. If you're watching games, then you can't sleep. Yeah, whatever. Well, my channel is just a drama channel, although I have a lot of things that I'm interested in. It would be too much to talk about on my channel. But in terms of alien civilization and stuff, I have no problem accepting that. I do know there definitely are a lot, but I don't think they would operate on the same level basically as we do. If there are similar planets as we have in the 3-dimensional space, then it would be very hard for them to physically sort of like get in contact with us with the same limit we have. But if, say, they exist at a different sort of form and dimension, then it does not matter, because they don't physically need to do anything. Like, they move beyond that. So imagine if you're coming from a higher sort of like science speaking, right, dimension, then limit of physics in 3-dimensional space is nothing to you. Therefore, and sort of it would be, I guess, like aliens interference would be coming in a way that's just not physical. You know, it's not like knocking on your door and then just like suddenly landing on White House's lawn type of situation. It would be more like they just indirectly hijack you from this level, right? So information importing, or just like mind control, or more sort of like you can't see like the access of a different dimension that humans don't have. Therefore, they can show up anywhere, anytime, manipulate anything, and in a way that is impossible for us on our dimension to even interpret or trace or in any way see it, right? But it's, you cannot tell. You cannot say that they're not actually all the time interfering. They're like aliens, right? If they're interfering in any way, I think it's more like a mind game type of situation where they literally just like play dimensional magic. And if they're doing that, then there's no way humans can ever know, because we don't exist on the same dimension. So you have no access. It's like the paper world, right? If you have two-dimensional people who live as lines and squiggly lines on a paper, whatever they try to do, they never access our three-dimension. And we see everything they do, plain as day, and they can never see us. And whatever we do, they never see the full picture anyway. So I'd say higher sort of beings would be like that. They would be the three-dimensional people poking at the two-dimensional sheet of paper of little circle man running around, right? They can literally just draw a line, create a wall, and you can climb over it, and you don't even know where the wall comes from. And that would be something like that. I'm just imagining if they're super strong aliens, right? How you categorize them. They wouldn't need to physically travel. They would just like break the dimensional sort of like barrier and then play with you. And it's so clunky when you think about it, right? If you have to travel in three-dimensional space with a ship flying out and escape the gravity's grasp and fly out, fuel, time, all this, the limit of physical space, it's like such a clunky way of travel. And you can try your best to work with technology, but I doubt it's gonna be that much more efficient, even if you push like in the three-dimensional space science. So if you have any way of accessing space-time in a different way, it wouldn't be coming from per se like three-dimensional physics development. It's just such a hard way of doing it. You probably would go to this way of doing it. But that's another time to talk about these things, and too much for my drama channel. Thank you for coming to today's live stream. Somehow we talked about a lot of drama things still and didn't talk about other things that much, but anyway, I hope you all stay safe, and then if you are, watching whatever Olympic Games, I hope you have a good time. I hope who you support can get what they want. Yeah. Does it mean it's August? It depends on like if I want to do another one at the end of August. I'll see how it happens. Like dramas, if I'm busy, it's like right now it's hard to tell because we don't even know what are the dramas that are gonna air in August in China right now. Not that many have come out with their date, so probably by middle of this month, I will know, right? And also hope the weather where you are is treating you kindly. I know a lot of places are really hot right now, and luckily Winnipeg kind of is already end of summer. From yesterday, the temperature dropped significantly. It got so cold at night. So I feel summer of 2024 is finished in Winnipeg, and it's so short. It literally lasted like a month, and it's almost gone now. At night it's like 15, 12 degrees. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on? It's like overnight we're cold. And usually August, once it gets cold, it's very hard for it to climb back hot, and we're done. But in other places I know 40-degree summer is still going on. And somebody said something that's really 0725. Gagana. Yes. It is actually not very clever to release dramas during Olympic Games. That's true. But it's gonna finish soon. Olympic Games is not that long. A couple of days later, it's gonna be gone. So we'll have more dramas for sure. Thank you. Please take care. And have fun watching. Also pray for the game to run till the last day safely for like most of the people. Let's hope nothing happens in Paris, okay? We don't need another drama. Clearly, we don't need another drama. We've had too much. Please take care. See you in my next video. I need to go and do my videos. There are a lot of videos to do. Take care. Bye.